And here we are for another Patreon upload. This one is on probably the worst X-Men movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine. This is the only origin movie they ever made, besides X-Men First Class, which is, it's a team building thing. They were going to do a bunch of individual X-Men origin films. I think Magneto was going to get his own thing, and they kind of shoved that over into First Class. This is definitely the worst X-Men film. Some people like to take shots at Dark Phoenix, and they take shots at X-Men Apocalypse. No, this is the worst. This is without a doubt the worst. The plot makes no sense. It's contradictory to the narrative. The character development's really bad. The visual effects are unfinished. The leaked work print really shot this thing in the foot. And of course, Deadpool showing up in this movie. This is the worst. This is absolutely the worst one. People like to take shots at New Mutants as well. That one's an interesting anomaly. It's not a terrible film. It's just not great. This was Nando v Movies. We've had Nando on, I think, a couple of times. This was a very long episode. This is also in the 3.5 hour range. This is a pretty long one. We had a great time talking about this, and we just kind of ran through the mud, and we eventually landed on, just chuck the whole movie out. You can't save it. It's just there's so many problems. They just kind of said, just do it. Just do an Alpha Flight movie. There's just nothing you can rescue from this. There's nothing you can save from it. The narrative is totally broken, and it's ugly. And I think even Hugh Jackman came out publicly and said, this is not a good film. Like, in terms of you're doing a rewatch of all the X-Men films, this is one you can skip. You can skip this one. Maybe only watch it for the jokes that pay off in the Deadpool films, but that's about it. So, here is our Patreon extended edit of X-Men Origins Wolverine Film Rescue. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Film Rescue Show. This is the show we're lending a helping hand to Hollywood, helping them fix their flub-ups and failures. I'm still working on the new intro. I think I'm almost there. I like the alliteration.
You're pretty good.
I like the alliteration. I'm joined by our host, Jesse, and our esteemed guest. I think it's been almost exactly a year since he's been on the show.
Is that right? Yeah.
I think we're right around the anniversary. Nando from Nando v Movies and the Mostly Nitpicking Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Yeah, you're right. It probably has been about a year, because I remember I came on right after I finished my Man of Steel video, which was started in early January, and then it was over in February. So, it was probably right around March.
Yeah,
you did Man of Steel too.
Well, that's the reason I reached out initially. So I had subscribed to his channel on YouTube months ago because he's doing the Lord's work over there. We launched our show and you launched your show about the same time with about the same idea.
Yeah.
Find movies you mostly liked or wish you liked more, and then find a way to fix them. His thing is you still only do one thing to fix it, right? Or has that changed?
Yeah, I've done a couple of bigger things, but for the most part, I try to make one change that can make sometimes it's what change can make the biggest impact, and sometimes it's just what's one tiny thing that really bugged me. So, for instance, Birds of Prey, it was instead of Cassandra Cain, it should have been Stephanie Brown, a different character that's basically the same one. So, that doesn't make a huge impact on the movie, but it does kind of fix her up. But then I made others where it's if Apocalypse got different horsemen, the movie's almost 100% different, but that small change kind of kicks it off.
Exactly.
So it's a mix. It depends on how much work the movie needs.
And then your I think one of your more recent videos just was exactly something I've been trying to put into words lately.
Oh, really?
Fixing speedsters and
yeah.
I don't know if that's your most recent video, but I think that's the one I saw most recently because I'm trying to figure out what the Flash movie's going to be because speedster shit is kind of all the same.
If it ever gets off the ground now.
Right.
Yeah. That's a tricky one.
Yeah, like I said, doing the Lord's work over there. But
thank you.
But today we are we're discussing one of the movies off of our shit list.
I'm excited.
You gotta bleep that.
I will have to bleep that. I'm got to figure out what sound effect. Probably the claws.
Yeah.
Unsheathing, I guess.
Yeah.
How about the word bub? Just like
Ooh, there you go. Or did you call me Blob?
yeah.
What?
That's Kevin Durant. He's a great actor, and you put him in that crap.
So is Liev Schreiber. Like,
They're all great actors. Will I
They're all
am
great
not
actors,
so
and
much, but
this pile of crap.
in case you
Yeah.
didn't figure out what movie we're talking about, it's X-Men Origins Wolverine, directed by Gavin Hood.
Remember this guy?
yeah, what did he do? I'm trying to think about it now.
Satsi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, that's
which
a
is
real
actually
movie.
a pretty good film. It's a real
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, he also did the Ender's Game
Oh yeah.
film.
Oh, there
he's
you go.
kind of like he's a guy that it works really well in like small lower budget films, but when they plucked him to do a large budget thing, that's studios do that
a lot.
Marvel does that all the time. They'll
Yeah.
take a guy that does like small independent films and they pluck him out and put him into the position of doing like a big budget Hollywood film because that way they're easily controllable.
Yeah.
And that's
Right,
what they
yeah.
thought could be useful with Gavin Hood. They said, "Oh, well, he'll do whatever we tell him because he's like low tier, but he put him in a big job." And then, of course, right off the bat, Gavin Hood has a lot of things to say, and there was conflict between him and the studio constantly.
Sure.
Tom Rothman and him had very big fights over the direction of this
Aw.
film. Like all the PTSD stuff that they wanted to give Wolverine in this film, most of that is excised because Tom Rothman said, "Oh, nobody wants to see that." And then you go to Logan,
Right.
and it's like
Yeah.
the best part of the film. It's what drives the movie.
Everyone wants to see that.
Yeah, that's what makes the character interesting. Like, you've been alive for like 300 years. Like you're gonna have that.
Right.
Seeing everybody you know die, it's like you're gonna have that.
So, Nando, when I sent you the list, you were pretty quick to pick this one. Is there
Yep.
a specific reason for that?
I have seen it. I've seen it quite a few times. I've always been a huge X-Men fan since childhood. I am in my late 20s, early 30s, so like I grew up with that X-Men cartoon, the one with na and it's one of my favorite, and you know what? It's not even one of my favorites. It's just really like kind of formative because honestly, I've gone back and watched it. It's charming, but kind of a mess. But then I grew up with the X-Men Evolution show, which I think is legitimately pretty good.
Yeah.
And then there have been a million other, games, and obviously some of my favorite comic storylines and just like comics come out of the X-Men like series. So right now I love what Jonathan Hickman's doing. I like what Bendis did a couple of years back.
House of X and Power of X are really good, and then
They're
the
so-
new X-Men, the new X-Men stuff, the way they do the trades, they don't
Yeah.
just have the X-Men stuff. They do. It's like one big collected universe. It is like it's X-Men, it's Marauders, Excalibur.
Insane. I have some of it
X-Force.
here. Yeah.
Like it's every storyline that's part of the X-Men universe. They compile that as the number one trade
Oh, wow.
because it all combines to make one story, and then
Sure.
all the number two issues compile those to make another trade.
Wow.
So that way you can read all the crossovers without having to constantly buy new trades.
Interesting.
It's a very clever way of getting people to read the entire story and the entire run without having to shove it down people's throats and gouge them for money.
Sure.
Very
Yeah.
clever decision. I wish more trades did that. Like if you're gonna do a big crossover event, do that.
Yeah.
That will get me to buy more.
Sure.
So
Interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
so there's that, and then obviously the Claremont stuff. Like, there's just always been interesting X-Men comics to me, more so than I don't know. I was never able to get into Fantastic Four, although sometimes it's better than other times. Usually when
stuff's pretty
Hickman's
good.
writing it. Yeah, exactly.
but basically anything John Hickman writes, it's great.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, it's always great because he's a genius.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then like Avengers has been kind of, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I enjoy a good Spider-Man comic, but I don't know, there was always something about the X-Men. Maybe it was the characters, maybe it was the powers, or maybe it was just like the very unsubtle metaphors, but it always like connected with me in a way that was not specific to me. I was always just like, this is good. This is a good story, and I don't know. So when this showed up, I was just like really excited to talk more about it because it's probably this one and the one that follows it in the Wolverine series are the two that I think the least about.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The Wolverine is not great. It's got, like the first half is pretty good. The second half is where it falls apart.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
Silver Samurai is a giant robot. Like,
Yep.
really? That's clearly a studio mandate.
Oh, sure.
It has that fun fight between him and the other, I can't even remember the names, but the other guy with the samurai sword who the movie is trying to trick you into thinking is the Silver Samurai.
Right.
Yeah, I can remember his name. But I don't remember anybody's name in that movie.
Yeah.
I know
it's
that
like,
Viper is in there. Yeah, it's a...
Yeah, huge mess. But so those two, I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing them and having mixed feelings about them. More mixed, like this one, I think I have a more formed opinion than The Wolverine. I honestly think I've only seen The Wolverine once. So yeah, and I think it's easy to forget that the Wolverine movies happened until Logan. Then I think Logan was like, oh yeah, they've made a couple of these. So yeah, I was excited to talk about this, and there's a lot of promise to it. A solo Wolverine story set somewhere in the past could work, and it just didn't. So yeah.
So, did you see this in theaters? And if yes, do you remember what ending, or post-credit scene you got?
That was the biggest load of crap. Like, hey, we have multiple endings. You have to go see it multiple times. No one is going to go back to see this a second time.
So I am a good person that doesn't break the law. However, I have friends who are not good people that break the law. So I saw the leaked version with like all the unfinished effects when it came out.
Same. I didn't. That's where I saw. I saw the work print. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, I saw it when I rented it.
Which is funny because you see it. There's things that you see that are clearly like this is not finished. I remember really specifically.
And then you see the finished movie, and it's like this is clearly not finished.
Yeah, right. Like you see Deadpool in the first, like the unfinished one, and you're like, oh, those lines on his chest, that's going to be something. That's like for CGI, manipulation. But it's not. Those are just lines on his chest in the final version too. Like so, yeah. It's I saw it there. I don't think I saw it in theaters, and then I've seen it a million times since then.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, I got the Colonel Stryker walking ending.
No, that's part of it. The twist. The other endings are, it's Wolverine in a bar drinking in Japan,
right?
Which leads into the Wolverine storyline. But then, the Deadpool
head.
With the head. That's Which
I forgot about that.
Oh God, we'll get to that. Any positives about this film at all?
Okay, I do have
so many. Yep.
Like there's
you go first, and I'll fill it in.
This is like the bottom of the crap list. This is like just above Serenity. This is like a.
My God!
By the way, I did not rewatch this. I've seen it. I saw it like a couple months ago. Like just randomly, I wasn't feeling well one day. I was like, I'm gonna throw this on. So I did not rewatch this last night because I watched Hobbs and Shaw last night. My God, that movie's so long. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah. Speaking of Ryan
so
Reynolds
boring.
doesn't have anything
so
interesting to do. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I was so defeated I couldn't bear to watch this. But I remembered it well enough.
Yeah.
But any positives at all? I can't think of anything.
Okay.
I really can't. Maybe like Hugh Jackman is okay in the movie, but he's fine in everything.
Yeah.
Maybe not Van Helsing, but overall.
We already talked about Van Helsing.
We already talked about that. Go back and listen to that episode.
So we have a group chat, and we often will live chat while we're watching the movie.
I just snapped last night. I just lost it. I was like, there's 40 minutes left. I need to take a break.
So while watching this, I think Act 1 and 2, beyond being kind of shot ugly, really work plot-wise. Like, there's a really solid foundation to what they're trying to do.
It's fine. It's like, hey, it's an early X-Force movie.
Yeah. Where it starts to fall apart is where they didn't have script while they were shooting it and just started to try to figure things out as they went.
Yeah, this film was started without a finished script. They were still writing the script as they were shooting, which means your effect shots are going to come in late or very, very quickly. Or also you're scouting for locations as you're working on the film, which is why the entire end of the movie is a giant green screen.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is clearly a film that was, let's make it up as we go along.
And I think the thing that hurts it the most is...
I mean, sometimes you can get away with that. Like Die Hard started without a script.
Oh, yeah.
Without a finished script. Like that. Or like the original Iron Man didn't have a finished script.
Right.
Like sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you get lucky, but in most cases, when you start a film without a finished script, this is the end result.
Yeah.
It's just a green screen show because we don't know what to do.
Put
it in post.
And again, like that's I think the movie overall is ugly, which I'm trying to do positives
it's
here.
Very
I promise.
flat. It's very, very flat, and the CGI looks terrible.
There's one.
Yeah.
specific shot that when after Agent Zero assassinates the elderly couple, when it zooms over to his gun, there's a still you can grab from that is almost literally the Windows XP background on the hill. I'm not kidding. Again, movie's ugly, but Acts 1 and 2, I will applaud. If I was writing a Wolverine movie, that's probably the way I would have gone too.
Yeah.
I would have had Act 3 end at the end of the Weapon X program instead of going into the whole Deadpool thing. I don't. You can do all the twists that they wanted, like Silver Fox actually having worked for Stryker, and she being a sleeper agent. Like I think you can do all that, and have Weapon X still be the culmination, because this movie wants very, very, very badly to be a prequel to X2 specifically.
Yeah. Which is a problem because the timeline doesn't match up.
Right.
Timeline doesn't match up. Characters don't match up at all. It bends over backwards to get all these characters into the movie.
Right.
But it doesn't. None of it's necessary. Like, you didn't need Cyclops in this movie.
At all.
You don't need Cyclops. You don't need Emma Frost. You don't need any of these people. And that doesn't make any sense because, like, Emma Frost then is in X-Men First Class.
Right.
Yep.
It's like, what? Well, where she's like, what, 35?
During the Cuban Missile Crisis.
During the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, in the 1960s,
Oh, God. This, like I said, this continuity, we're 10 minutes in, right?
Yes.
This
What
continuity
year
is, like I've said, it's totally fucked.
What
it's like
year was 3 Mile Island? When does this movie take place?
I'm glad you asked, because I figured it out with science.
What is
Oh,
it?
okay.
It's supposed to take place, like, this is the excuse for how the Cuban Missile Crisis, the 3 Mile Island meltdown is supposed to occur in terms of the history of the world.
Kind of, but not quite. So when did the 3 Mile Island in real life, when did that occur?
I want to say
don't know,
82, but that sounds wrong. Let's see. I'm going to Google it. Do you know this? Is this one of those questions that you're...
Yes, it's a leading question.
okay. When did it occur?
So it happened in the 80s.
Okay.
However, this film cannot, excuse me, the end of this film cannot happen any earlier than 1992. And here's why.
Why?
Agent Zero, during their mission to not Wakanda, pulls out 2 pistols to start shooting at people.
Yeah.
Those pistols are Taurus PT-92s, which were invented in 1992.
Okay.
Interesting.
But it gets better because at that point, Logan's in the X-Force, right?
Yeah.
And then cut to he's in Canada, and while he's in the hospital, he mentions it having been 6 years since he last saw the team, which means 1998 is the actual earliest when this movie could be occurring. However, it gets better.
Continue.
Okay.
I did a lot of research last night because I really wanted to know when this movie takes place. Because if you recall, X-Men 1 takes place in 2000, right?
Yes. Yeah, it takes place. Yeah, I guess that would be when it came out. I don't know.
It was filmed in 99 and it came out in 2000.
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't really do anything to establish the year in that I can recall. Again, I will do more research
It's kind
if I have to.
of its own time frame.
But there is a establishing shot just before 3 Mile Island of a 2002 model Taurus with the bra on the front.
Okay.
Oh.
If you're mostly nitpicking,
Definitely worth. Yeah.
the earliest this movie can be is 2002 in the final act,
Wow.
Okay.
which is actually ahead of
The
movie.
original X-Men. God. Okay, so the original X-Men takes place in the year 2005 then, or whatever.
Yikes.
Whatever.
I mean,
Anyway.
the Wolverine or the
Like it matters.
the X-Men
Right.
timeline is a disaster.
Oh, it's a disaster. Like this is
so-
like I've said, it's clearly an example of let's make it up as we go along.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I thought it was really funny because I recognized the pistols because I actually own one of those.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's not an 80s model weapon. I'm now curious, and that sent me down this rabbit hole of like, oh, no, okay, well, this is at least the 2000s.
Yeah.
See, I feel like with the pistols, you could maybe say like, "Oh, the government had him for 10 years, and they gave him to this guy because he's the best." But then the car fucks it all, or messes it all up.
Oh,
it
yeah.
bubs it all up, as we'll say.
Well, we're over 10 minutes in.
We're over
You
10
can
minutes.
cuss now.
We can swear now.
Oh, okay, great, yeah. So yeah, Yeah, the car really does mess it up.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure
you-
there's other stuff too. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And again, this was my drunk watch of this one because I have unfortunately seen it sober.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the idea of like questioning like why does somebody have this kind of weapon or this kind of vehicle? It's like the people that were making this like it just looks cool.
Right.
It's just
Oh.
it's just there to look cool. It doesn't matter. Like none of it matters. Like,
Yeah.
this whole movie is like an afterthought if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like I think the biggest problem with an origin film for Wolverine is that the character is more interesting when you don't have the origin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's like the idea of doing the origin story at all, even in the comics, completely derails the character, in my opinion. Because I've never read it and I don't want to because I just don't care.
Yeah.
But the problem is that by doing the origin storyline for this kind of character that has amnesia, the interesting part is that he doesn't know who he is, and that
Right.
allows you a lot of free territory to mine the character. When you lay
Right.
out, here's where he came from, here's where he was born, this is where his powers came from. It's like when you lay it all out like that and like nail it in place, you're kind of stuck.
Sure.
Like you could have like if they didn't have the origin, they could have said, "Oh, he's been around since like the American Revolution." You could
Yeah.
have gone further back and back and back and back and back. But now it's like, "Oh no, he was around since the 1800s."
Yeah.
So
Great.
you're-
It's like you're kind of stuck, and it's ultimately it kind of is pointless anyways because he's going to get amnesia anyways when he gets shot.
Right.
So what difference does this whole movie make? it's the same excuse as like it was all a dream. None of it mattered.
Sure.
This whole movie doesn't matter. Like everything in this film is completely utterly pointless.
Right.
You make a great point, but wouldn't you like to see Wolverine as a little Lord Fauntleroy child who gets sick all the time? There's some benefits. I agree. I think there's
Also,
I think
the bone
there's
claws are fucking weird.
I hate
I
that.
don't.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's just like. Ugh.
but
I like the idea that he
yeah.
never had the claws and they were just put in because of his healing factor. I
don't
don't know.
know.
I don't know if the comics have ever established that he had bone claws at any point, but
I don't know.
I think he did, but also I think it's one of those things that people it almost feels like what's the Spider-Man story that everyone hates?
the Clone
Clone
Saga?
Saga or the one where he makes the deal with the devil.
Deal with the devil. Yeah,
One more day,
even
one more day.
One more
yeah, it feels like that kind of thing where they did it in the comics, it became canon, and then all of the characters immediately decided to ignore it because it was bad. Because I
Yeah.
don't think it comes up all that often, but I feel like canonically he has them. But yeah, because it would be weird, but his skeleton is coated in adamantium, so.
Right.
It's like, oh, I guess that must be part of his skeleton. But also, I could see it being one of those things that they made up for the movie, and they went, oh, crap. We got to put this in the comics, and then they did late in the game. I
Ooh,
can't
yeah.
remember.
So you said you have some positives.
So many. I love this movie.
Good.
It's great. It's got here. All right, positives. Number one, the opening's terrific. Not the opening with Lord Fauntleroy, but when the
opening credits.
title
Yeah.
sequence. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. That should be the movie clearly, but it's
Missed
not.
opportunity to somehow get the rights to Captain America for the World War II
Oh
sequence.
yeah.
See, this
Could
was
have had
2008.
Steve
Oh.
Rogers in the background.
Right? Yeah, that would have been sick. And yeah, there's 4 different movies there that are all more interesting than this movie. Like,
Yeah, and that's why I've said
Yeah.
it's a problem to even have this movie in the first place because like the credits is more interesting than the actual film.
Right.
yeah.
Oh.
So there's that. I think Hugh Jackman's great. I think he's always great. I think Liev Schreiber is great. I don't like the Sabretooth in this movie, but I think he is just good at being an actor. And I
He's
think
hamming it up.
Oh.
yeah,
he's
that's what I was
totally-
gonna say.
He's
He
absolutely
gets-
hammy.
I think he gets it. Wolverine, Hugh Jackman gets it. I want to say the actor that plays Stryker kind of gets it. Deadpool, as Ryan Reynolds, surely does. And I also want to say Will.i.am gets it. Like, they're cheesing it up for a bad action movie, kind of like 80s, Commando vibe. And I
Yeah.
think if the movie really bought into that, it would have been awesome. Because it doesn't have to. I feel like the X-Men movies, it decided to just kind of follow the tone of the X-Men movies, which is like kind of self-serious and, it works when they're good, and when it doesn't, it's kind of like X3, it's kind of boring. But I think if they really decided we need to make this a genre, like if we need to fit this into that 80s big tough guy, indestructible guy action genre, that would have been fun. So they're good. I think the effects for some characters are fun. I like Will.i.am's teleporting effect, where you see
Yeah.
his body like come together in parts. I'm trying to think who else. He was good. I liked the Blob design, and I didn't mind Kevin Durant. Not Kevin Durant. What's his name?
That's Kevin Durant.
Oh,
That's
okay.
him.
So there's Kevin Durant, the basketball player, right? And then Kevin Durant, the actor. And so yeah,
No,
I could see.
Durand is the actor. Durant.
Oh, Durand. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So
What else
yeah,
has he
I
been in?
like.
He's been in like everything. What the hell? What the hell else has he been in?
He's one of those like
He's one of those
John
guys.
Turturro. He's in everything,
He's
but
in everything.
Yes.
his,
I'm
his
trying to
face
think.
escapes you.
I want to say he was in like Lost or one of those shows for a while in like the background. It might not have been Lost, but he was in something. Maybe Friday Night Lights. I forget.
Yeah. I'm looking it up.
We'll get to Friday Night Lights in a second in the bad section, but so I think he's good. Obviously, this movie, I don't think even though even though the ending is terrible, I don't think we get a Deadpool
he was on
movie
Lost.
without.
He was on Lost.
He was
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Is he he must have been a bad guy then, because he wasn't one of the original dudes.
No, he was on the other side of the island. He was the other survivors
Oh, okay, yeah.
with
So
Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
With-
Oh god,
yeah.
he was in the Resident Evil Retribution. He was Barry Burton. Oh no. Oh god. Oh, that sucks.
was he in Friday Night Lights? I'm wondering now. Early like
Uh,
2004 or something like that.
I'm so glad you brought up Friday Night Lights because one of the headlining actors of that was Kyle
Yep.
Chandler, who also was headlining in Early Edition in the 90s, which is a running joke I have on this show. Any chance I get to bring up Early Edition,
Oh god.
I will take it. And that was perfect. I appreciate you
Very
for that.
good. Thank
no,
you.
he was not on Friday Night
Ah,
Lights. He was not on
Bummer.
Friday Night
Missed
Lights.
opportunity. Although
Not
Friday
for
Night
me.
Lights is perfect and it's fine. Yeah. Okay. Other positives. Yeah. So I don't think we get a Deadpool solo movie without Ryan Reynolds proving that he's good as opening Deadpool. So I thank it for that. And I thank it for that one joke at the end of Deadpool 2 where he
Yeah.
kills or Origins of Wolverine Deadpool. So like fun stuff there. Oh gosh. Okay, so there's a couple. I think Danny Houston's not bad. I think he has, he doesn't have very much to do, but I think he tries his hardest. And I think I think the parts of this movie that are dumb and cheesy, when I think it's effectively doing it, like for instance, and this is like one of the 5 like kind of stills that seems to have transcended the movie, when Wolverine walks away from the exploding helicopter as like a
Right.
total badass. Like there's some things like that out of context I really enjoy. And there's lines like when there's some things that characters say that are kind of dumb, but they're still like that line when Wolverine's about to fight Sabretooth in, I guess, like in the New
Bar?
Orleans fight. No, before that. Or later than that.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you even know how to kill me?" And Wolverine's, "I'm gonna cut your damn head off, see if that works." Like there's some fun lines there. Like I said, I hate the relationship between those two in the comics, and I think it's annoying that they decided to go there here.
Sure.
But I didn't mind him. What else?
I want to piggyback off that for a second too. Hugh Jackman has Schwarzenegger level one-liners in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I brought that up earlier this week. That doesn't happen in movies anymore. Like we don't have the action hero with one-liners
Yeah, they don't
unless
have-
they're parody.
Yeah.
But his when Stryker's like, "Oh, I haven't aged a day," he pulls his cigar out of his mouth and goes, "Clean living," and it's like,
Yeah.
That's-
That was great.
and then what do you make? 18K, 18.5. It's like these are so funny and silly. That's where the movie really works. Him and Ryan Reynolds in the beginning in the elevator.
Yeah.
I legitimately was
Yeah.
laughing. I was like, I forgot how funny this was, and we really got robbed of them teaming up in a movie together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I think what's his name? I think Will.i.am also had some good cheese during
did.
like the Blob fight where it's like, "Oh, am I gonna beat or like I'm gonna come take this guy out on a stretcher," or someone says that and he's like, "I don't even think there's a stretcher big enough for him." And then
Right.
Blob knocks him out and he's like, "Whose side are you on?" And I think Will.i.am's like, or at some point Will.i.am says, "It's not him I'm worried about." And
Right.
that bit's fun. Okay, other stuff. I think the X-Men movies have always done something I hated, and they still do it, like, to this day. They're so big on wire fighting and wire, like, if Storm or Magneto is going to be floating, instead of animating that fully, they clearly have the actor on a wire, like, hanging from their back, and it
Everybody
sucks.
moves like gravity doesn't matter.
Right.
Yes. And I think it has never worked better than the goofy Sabretooth run when he does his little, like...
When he leaps.
Yeah, when he gallops.
Even Logan has a shot, like in the woods at the end of the movie. He leaps at that guy and then slams him into the tree. Even Logan has that.
Gambit has the worst one.
Oh, yeah.
He helicopter spins his cane to
my
float
God.
into the alley.
Dumb.
So can he defy gravity, or was that just bad wire work? Let's be honest here.
There's a second unit director in this movie who's just like, let's make him flip the thing around. What are we going to have Ryan Reynolds do? Just make him do a little helicopter. And, like, make Taylor do a little helicopter.
Ryan Reynolds can deflect all those machine gun bullets with his swords. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's something. Yeah, I think that's everything. The cheese, I think the ending sucks. We'll get to that. But yeah, I think Hugh Jackman and Liev Schreiber have good chemistry. I wish they were different characters or like in a different movie or something, but almost everything Hugh Jackman does in this movie, I find at least watchable. Sure.
There's a deleted scene in Logan where they reference Sabretooth. I can't remember what it was, but it's like it said something like he used to be friends with him, something like that. It's a throwaway thing.
Sure.
They obviously deleted it for various particular reasons, but they did reference it in Logan. So
I think early in the script for Logan, it was going to be Sabretooth was going to own the casino that they go to.
Yeah, something like that.
And you were going to get like an appearance for him. Yeah, so fine. Because again, I think after X-Men 1, after Sabretooth unceremoniously dies in X-Men 1 and has no like dialogue with Wolverine, like clearly neither of them seem to give a shit about each other. It's like, well, I don't know. Maybe these characters don't have to be best friends forever. Like in the comics, are they brothers or is Sabretooth his father? I legitimately
they're supposed to be. They're friends, I believe, or something like that, or they were allies in Weapon X or something like that. But they're not like brothers. As far as I'm
Oh, okay.
I wish I knew. All I recall from Weapon X in the comics is the character Kane, which I really wish was in these movies, and he isn't. He's basically got the same powers as Wolverine, except for instead of the triple claws, he's got one giant fucking machete that falls out of one of his arms because he's yoked as fuck and can fit a machete in his arm.
They shoved that into the Deadpool that they created.
Yeah.
Like the
I didn't
sword
even
is
think
bigger
of
than
that.
his arm, which is not possible.
Right.
Like, ugh.
Yeah. So
The
all
90s
of that
were a weird time.
Yeah.
that's all. Those are all my positives. I think if I come up with some others, and I liked his jacket. I liked the goofy leather jacket in this.
Oh, yeah.
The bomber jacket.
I like how he gets it. You're heavy.
Yeah.
Put on a little weight recently. Because isn't he supposed to be like 300 pounds with all the adamantium?
More than that.
Yes.
More than that.
Oh, yeah. He's super. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all I got though. I think there was some fun stuff, but most of it was either not like unintentionally fun. It was clearly either some designer being like, "This would be a good way for this character to look," and then it was just actors delivering terrible lines. Well, because as I'm sure we all know, like sometimes in the X-Men movies that doesn't work. Like X-Men 1, Storm accidentally delivered, like Halle Berry delivered that line that everyone hates poorly, right?
Well,
like Joss
it wasn't
Whedon
set
wrote.
up. There was supposed to be. It was a rule of threes thing that got cut down to one line. That's what. It doesn't work in that context.
Yeah.
But if they had the other two jokes, it would have paid off.
Yeah.
They just cut the pay.
Well, that
the
was also
payoff
like
out.
a film. That film also didn't have a finished script as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. David Hayter was brought in at the tail end. Yeah, to try to rework and fix the script. And overall, the movie works fine. And then David Hayter.
Oh, yeah.
David Hayter got a cameo.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. He's the guard that finds the Mystique.
Oh,
That's Solid Snake.
Oh,
Yeah, that's him.
nice.
That's Solid Snake.
I'm gonna pull a Nando.
Yep.
I think one thing hurt this movie to the point that the ending of this film happens because it was being done during production.
Yeah.
It was written during production, and there was no one to look back and say, no, actually, this affects something earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
The one thing is Wolverine's involvement and why Stryker wants him.
Yeah.
Because Stryker wants him for his healing factor to put that into the Deadpool, which
Yep.
I
God.
appreciate this
Weapon
movie.
11.
Yeah, I appreciate this movie adding so it's not actually officially Deadpool. It's just the Deadpool. I appreciate that. So he wants the healing factor. However, he has Sabretooth, first of all. That breaks this down a lot because Sabretooth also has healing factor. That's why he's been alive for this whole time. So it breaks right there. But let's just assume maybe he's incompatible with the Deadpool. He can't the power doesn't go into the Deadpool. It doesn't compute.
Isn't that what he says at some point? Or there's something where he's like, I'll be your healing factor guy. And Danny Houston's like, you can't. You're not good enough or something. And
whatever the hell that even means. Like, you're not good enough?
I forget what that
they
line
have the same
was.
power. Like,
Well, and it could be, it could come down to fucking blood type. Like, you need not only the power, but again, you have to set that up if that is the case.
yeah. It's just,
So let me forgive that for a minute and assume we do have to have Wolverine. Wolverine is in a situation where they can get his DNA in 2 separate occasions before the end of the movie. He gets knocked the fuck out by Sabretooth and ends up in the hospital.
Yeah.
So instead of Stryker getting his DNA then, he asks him to join Weapon X.
Yeah.
Then they have him in the Weapon X facility and could have taken his DNA then, but instead they give him claws to take out somebody that's still working for them.
Yeah.
Because you'll recall, Sabretooth is still working for Stryker at the end of the movie. That was a fake out. The point of it was the fake out. So, like, it's a twist for twist's sake.
Yeah.
But it breaks the movie because why does he need the claws to kill Sabretooth then? So that
question.
that one thing making Wolverine important to the Deadpool makes the movie have to run laps to get to the end.
Making it up as we went along.
So that Wolverine's going to come to 3 Mile Island anyways because he wants to kill Sabretooth. The plot set it up for him to go there. He's going there of his own volition.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessary because they could have taken his DNA at 2 different times and also gave him claws to kill someone that works for them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
This movie's a mess.
So
don't make it up as you go.
And
like, give a reason. Like
exactly.
Like, make a new character. Like, why does it have to be Sabretooth? Like, have it be another character that, like, escaped the Weapon X program.
Yeah.
Right.
Why can't, like, have it be Deadpool? Have it like be Ryan Reynolds' character, Wade Wilson. He's escaped, and he's the one you're hunting down. Like, that would make sense,
right?
In some capacity. But the idea of having it be like having to hunt down somebody in your own organization just to have them come back, so that then you can have a big fight. It's like it's just there for the sake of, hey, wouldn't that be cool if?
Right.
But it doesn't extend beyond. Wouldn't it be cool if?
So my other issue with this movie actually stems from my love for X-Men 2. They go out of their way to mention Stryker's son.
Yeah.
And if you'll recall,
Jason.
Jason in X-Men 2 he's like the anti-Professor X. He's got mental powers.
Supposed to be Jason Wingard, who is can create illusions.
Right.
And that's basically this power-wise is the same character, but
he's supposed to be. Who is that? Mastermind or
Mastermind?
Mesmero? Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
It's intended to be, but character-wise, it's basically different because he's a vegetable in X-Men 2.
Right.
Yeah. He just activates his powers with his mind. But,
right.
In terms of personality, there's like no personality in X-Men 2.
So there's specific lines that go out of their way to mention his son and that he's a mutant, and that's why he kills the general in that scene with Deadpool's sword. But then later he says this whole thing started with my son's powers.
Yeah.
And again, his son's powers are to create illusions, and somehow that's in the Deadpool powers that he doesn't use. How did this start with your son? I mean, literally, this is just like script supervisor on set go, we'll change this line to, this started with my son. This is how I got interested in mutants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like one thing. It just bugged me because it was like, well, that's if you really want to be this prequel to X2, you're fucking up the mythology of X2 because what powers from your son are in the Deadpool?
Yeah.
Again, the first 2 acts I really like in this movie. If they were really well shot and like you had that kind of tongue-in-cheek tone, perfect.
Yeah.
I would applaud this film. Act 3 is where it really just starts to trip over its own feet.
Yeah, we ran out of script. Make it up.
Yep.
Just shoot anything.
And it's like,
We got to make it to 2-hour runtime.
get to the end where he gets amnesia any way you possibly fucking can.
Yeah.
Like, Gambit runs
Like,
off.
that's how they got the whole adamantium bullet thing. Like
Yeah.
they even established the mythology of X-Men is that you can't break adamantium once it's set in place. They had to create a way in which he gets amnesia. Originally, it was the Weapon X program that gave him amnesia.
Right.
Then you have to make this
Right.
movie. So how do we do it? Well, adamantium bullets. It's like a diamond can only cut diamonds. Like it still doesn't make sense because adamantium is supposed to be indestructible.
Right.
And
They just said,
the
you know
way-
what? Fuck mythology. We have to just do this. Even though it doesn't make any sense because then you see in X-Men 1, you see the X-rays of Wolverine's body. There's no hole in the X-ray of
Right.
where the adamantium skull is.
Right.
Again,
It's just there because give him amnesia so we can end the fucking movie.
it's worse, though, because they're trying to reference X-Men 2, where he
Yeah.
gets shot in the head at Bobby Drake's house.
yeah,
It's exactly the same scene.
yeah, and the bullet doesn't penetrate.
Right.
Yeah.
My
And
last... Go
Oh,
ahead.
it's so much worse
I mean,
too because
I'm fine with breaking the adamantium rule, like because you have to at some
Sure.
point. I mean, even Logan broke that rule because they have to.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you have to accept. Like, look, having your character be completely indestructible and unkillable completely deflates all tension.
Sure.
You have
Right.
to end that. You have to end that rule.
Yeah.
But to do it so like at the end, like the third act of this film, where it's not set up at all, that's where the movie breaks down. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
But anyways,
set up by what's his name. Stryker is like, he pulls out the bullet and I forget who is like, will it kill him? And Stryker's like, no, but it'll make him forget, as if
Yeah.
he knows that if he
Yeah.
does that, like that's such a weird. I remember in
And
the
also,
movie
like,
being
they-
like,
they
that's a
send-
crazy setup.
They send Agent Zero after him at the beginning of the film, and they don't give him the adamantium bullets.
No.
Like, what are you going to
Yeah.
stop him with?
Right.
You going to stop him with the propeller blades of the helicopter? You're going to chop him in half? What are you going to do?
So my last issue is mostly semantics, but so Gambit flies him to the island, right?
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
whole point of the scene is he's not gonna land the plane.
Yeah.
So Wolverine skips like a rock over the water. Hilarious. Love that. Great joke. I love that.
Sure.
It's cheesy as fuck, but
Sure.
I love it.
Hey, Jai Kinnamington Bull somehow did it in Terminator Salvation.
Right.
That's our thing now. We have who do we have now in our own Deadpool?
Yeah, our celebrity Deadpool. Jai
Kinnamington,
Courtney,
Jai Courtney,
Joel Kinnaman,
Sam Worthington,
and
Toby Kebbell.
Toby Kebbell are kind of all the same actor.
They're charisma-free actors. They're charisma-free. So we have them all collected in our own celebrity Deadpool of Jai Kinnamington Bull.
Yeah.
I
And
gotcha.
it'll keep growing as we find more. I think Toby Kebbell didn't even happen on air, so
No,
we
not yet.
We just had to mention.
We'll throw Charlie Hunnam in there at some point.
Oh man,
Mhm.
if he keeps working.
And
with,
what's his name? Who's the one? Did you guys say Clint Eastwood's son? Scott Eastwood is man. If there was an actor with no personality,
I like him though.
He can be good, but you're right.
You're right. He is kind of
Yeah.
charisma-free.
Pacific
yeah.
Rim and whatchamacallit, and Fast 8, I guess, or just man.
Wait,
that guy.
Scott Eastwood's in Pacific Rim,
Pacific Rim
Right?
2.
Pacific Rim 2. Yeah,
Oh,
whatever it is.
I didn't see that one.
You don't need to.
I
that-
know.
Yeah.
You can't fix that movie. It's just garbage.
No Guillermo del Toro, no Seth Decker.
Nope. It's
Sorry.
bad. It's
Yep.
horribly boring.
So anyway, my Gambit issue. He makes Wolverine jump out because he's not going to land, but then does land
At the end of the movie.
at the end to help Wolverine. So Wolverine says, "Go help the kids." And then the last thing we see of him, or second to last scene we see of him, is him running out of the compound, seeing the kids get saved by Xavier.
Yeah.
And then he just runs back to Wolverine
Yeah.
to establish, your name is Logan.
Yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
Even though he has dog tags that say that, so you don't need him to go back.
he could have just, and likely this was contractual, especially because they're doing all this shit on the fly,
Yeah.
right? But so in context, that means that he flies away, pulls a Han Solo, and decides to come back. Sure, that's
Yep.
fine. But he comes back to do nothing. He
doesn't get involved in the fight.
He lands, runs through the whole compound, runs back to Logan, and leaves.
Yeah, he doesn't get involved in the fight. Like, that would have been kind of cool to have, like, the three of them fighting against the Deadpool.
Right.
Like, fine. Like, right there. Perfect. I mean, even though I hate Taylor Kitsch in this movie, he's fucking terrible. Let's add him into our celebrity Deadpool. This name is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, this name's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But, like, have him get involved in the fight. Like, all he does is fight Wolverine at one point.
Do you remember when he was in Battleship with Rihanna?
Fuck! Oh, god damn!
Do you remember Battleship or Halo, but we don't have a budget?
or Transformers, but on the water? Jesus.
I hate that
See,
movie.
it's so sad because Big Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights, like, there's an actor there. He had a start, and he was on one of, and then it just couldn't make it go.
He's not a leading man.
No, he's not.
Even like
John Carter proved that. He's not a leading man.
And
he cannot lead a film. He is a side character, or he is a best friend character. He's never meant to lead a film.
I'm a John Carter apologist. I love that movie.
It's fine.
It's funky. It's like jazz. It's got this weird like what is happening kind of thing.
It's
Taylor Kitsch is the wrong.
It's
cast.
pulp. It's pulp.
Yeah.
Those books were written in the 1900s. They are meant to be pulpy.
Same time Tarzan. Anyways, those are my issues. Nando, what are your issues with this film?
It's bad. It doesn't understand what any of the X-Men are.
shit.
It seems to have a very fundamental like confusion about most of the X-Men in it.
I think
Gambit's the big one.
Yeah, Gavin Hood even said he's not a comics person. Like you,
and I hate that.
I'm fine with that. Like you can say, oh, you're not a comics person, but at least like. Well, it doesn't help that like you have massive fights with the studio and Tom Rothman was in charge at the time. Like, and then Richard Donner even got brought in to settle tensions between everybody on set.
Wow,
you have Richard Donner fucking on set. Like, stop fighting.
Yeah,
like stop arguing.
Yeah.
Like somebody come to a compromise.
Yeah,
and so I think that's why you get like that ending teaser for the actual Deadpool, where his mouth magically becomes unsewn shut, and then you have a. Like, you didn't want him talking for the majority of the movie, but at the end would say, oh, no, he'll talk in the next movie.
Yeah.
It's like they compromise so much because Gavin Hood's not invested.
Right.
The studio wanted a different movie. You have all these different things where, like, everyone's trying to have their own ideas about, let's put this in, let's put that in. And it's fandom gone awry, trying to shove all these characters in, but none of it feels like a cohesive narrative. This does not feel like a film with an actual vision by a filmmaker.
Right.
This is a film made by a committee. Literally by a committee.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So Gambit, obviously he's not a particularly great actor version of the character, but also he doesn't, if you saw this movie and you didn't know who Gambit was, and I think this works with most of the characters, you would have a really hard time figuring out what their powers are.
Yeah.
Besides Wraith. His power is he can teleport, and it's like, fine. And I don't know, is Agent Zero from the comics? I'm not familiar with that character.
I think he is. I think
is his superpower that he's got perfect aim or something? Is he like another Bullseye, Hawkeye?
So from my study, Agent Zero was the invented name, but his actual character name in the film is a comic book character. I can't remember what it is. It's John something. And the power set was kind of watered down to be acrobatic. Like he's basically Captain America, right?
David North. Yeah.
David North.
Yes.
David North. Yeah, he's kind of like Captain America, but originally known as Maverick.
There you go.
Yeah, well, obviously they changed.
Okay. I have
changed
heard
it because
of
of
this
Top
character.
Gun.
Yeah,
because they have rights issues. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
But yeah, it's,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Same with Silver Fox. Like she's credited as Silver Fox in a slash at the end. Like she's never called that in the film.
Yeah.
And then if you know anything about the character Silver Fox, she don't look shit like Silver Fox in the comics.
No.
Like at all.
She's like legitimately has silver hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like all this stuff was changed because they just
PS4 Spider-Man game. She's in that.
Yeah, she's in that. So you and then also
Where is she in that?
She's the government agent that shows up sometimes to fuck shit up that you kind of team up with.
That's Silver Sable, right? That's like a different character, I'm pretty
you're
sure.
correct. That was my mistake.
Because she runs Sable Industries. But yes,
You're
it
correct.
is. And then the one that really I don't hate God, what the heck is his name? Shoot. I'm looking through the list of people now. Because who is Dominic Moynihan's character?
Oh, he's
I
the technopath. I think I think he was like either invented or kind of like one of those.
I think
split.
he's an inventive character, or he's like a combination
Okay.
of multiple characters.
Right.
Not. I mean, I
Yeah.
wish there was more of him. Like great power set. Like the idea is we're in a carnival. Like great.
Oh.
That's brilliant.
Speaking of great one-liners, I'm not afraid to die. How do you know? You haven't tried it yet.
That's not bad.
Because fucking Sabretooth has died like a bunch.
Yeah.
He like literally got shot to
Yeah.
death at the beginning of the movie. It's so bad. It's like such a like dick on the table. Like, how do you know? You haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's how you know he was having a good time with that character.
So that character, apparently Chris Bradley, Bolt, is his name, and he is a mutant, but he can absorb energy.
Absorb and
He's
redistribute
able to
energy?
store and release it. Yes, he just seems like another electricity guy.
Yeah, it's kind of
he
like
can turn his
Bishop
body
has that
into
power,
pure
and
energy.
Cable has that power, absorbing
Right.
and redistributing energy.
Gambit kind of has that same power.
Sort of, I guess.
Shaw, kind of, yeah.
They
But yeah,
get-
so I think if you looked at Gambit and you were like, what is this guy? He's a guy who has some sort of exploding playing card that he uses once, and he's mostly sticks, right? Like he does a lot of stick karate, and also the stick explodes sometimes. Like, I feel like the original X-Men movies, like 1 and 2, really, 3 almost, although I think it kind of whiffs like Phoenix and Juggernaut. But it does a good job of being like, okay, what's this guy do? Well, this one's Nightcrawler. Okay, he can teleport and he can climb up walls. And it shows him doing that, like,
Right.
in his little introduction. And the same with even small ones like Siren or Shadowcat or Colossus or Pyro. Like, you're never confused about who any of these characters are. But I really think you could do this movie without names and without, like, accents. And you'd be like, was that Gambit? There would be, like, fan theories that would be like,
Sure.
the character Remy LeBeau is actually Gambit because it's so unspecific. Same with Deadpool. Same with Blob. I think Blob, besides being a big fat guy, like his power in the comics, right, is that he is physically immovable. You just can't push him in one direction or the other. And in this, he's just kind of indestructible. And
there's a moment in the animated show when Rogue tries to punch the Blob, but she punches like into his stomach and it just kind of moves gelatinously, and then he just throws her out of the way.
Right.
Like even Rogue can't move him.
You know what this movie is? This is
The animated series done in live action?
No, this is a studio making an unlicensed version of a film.
Yes!
that they have the licenses to.
Yeah, this is the
you're
asylum. Like, trick the grandparents into buying this for their kids. Like, like this would be like Fight Man beginnings Badger Boy, and like you know, you're like, oh, Badger Boy's supposed to be Wolverine. I see, but but yeah,
Badger Boy.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. I wouldn't want to say Honey Badger because I'm pretty sure there is a character named that in something.
Sure.
But yeah,
Honey Badger don't give a fuck. You've seen that video.
Oh yeah.
Honey
Yeah,
Badger don't
oh,
give
yeah.
a fuck.
That's how I want
Early
all nature
internet, man.
documentaries to be.
I want
To be done.
I want them all narrated by that guy. Because look at the Honey Badger.
Oh,
He doesn't give a fuck.
that and the guy that does not the guy. Have you ever seen Snoop Dogg?
Oh.
Doing a
What is that?
yeah,
Is that a
doing
weasel?
like a nature documentary. It's so funny.
Is that a weasel?
Yeah.
It's like fucking mongoose is annihilating a crocodile. He's like, what are those things? Is that ferrets? I love that.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think this movie did a bad job with all the characters.
Yes.
I think certain actors kind of pull bits of the movie through. I think there's way too much shoehorning of, like you were saying, like X-Men movie lore into the movie as opposed to like X-Men comic lore or X-Men just it doesn't seem like it's inspired by the comics. It seems like it's inspired by the movies, which are inspired by the comics. And once you start taking that level of abstraction, everything just goes off the rails.
Exactly.
I believe I've heard that in the original movies, like when they were filming one, at least for sure, Bryan Singer specifically he was like, we're not bringing comic books. They're not allowed on set. because we're making this cool and real. And Kevin
the
Feige
reason that the
snuck
X-Men
comic
movies-
books into the writer's room.
Yeah, it's like you're adapting a comic book and you don't even go back to the mythology and the lore. It's like, why did the X-Men universe collapse?
To the point that they want to shit on the comics with the what did you expect? Yellow spandex?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
It's
you're
like,
poking-
yes, I kind of did.
Yeah, we kind of did. And, like, why did the Marvel Cinematic Universe take off and do very, very well? Because they embraced their
Right.
material. Like, they added stuff and they changed a few things, but overall, it succeeded.
And like you were saying before, Heath Ledger, not a comic book fan pre Dark Knight.
Yeah.
He's not a comic book nerd. But he took the time to read the Joker stuff to develop the character and then did his own version. We've never seen Ledger's Joker in the comic books ever.
Yeah. Or, like,
Right.
or same thing with Joaquin Phoenix. Like, that film, like, he didn't read comics, and then he read some stuff, and then it's like he kind of got it.
Right. So
I'm not saying it's a great movie. It's like, but great performance.
Oh, absolutely. So do that. You know what I mean? Like, at least if you're not a comic book person, get to know your source material, and then you can kind of. It's like when you're adapting a book to movie.
Yeah.
You pull the best adaptations of book to movie are pulling the scenes that you remember that stuck with you, and doing them right.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, great example. The
Yeah.
books and the movies are two totally different things.
Because you can't directly adapt that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
you have to make changes.
Pete Jackson goes, well, I'm going to pull the stuff that I really remember. It's all from memory because that's the stuff that sticks with you. And that's why the adaptation's like, well, yeah, it's not just like the books, but it's really good.
Yeah. Or Annihilation. Like
There you
when
go.
Alex Garland did Annihilation, like he read the book once, didn't read the sequels, and just said, I'm not going to read it a second time. I'm just going to go back and like what I remembered from the film and then add my own stuff.
Exactly.
And that's why the film holds up because it's like it's not exactly like the source material, but it's a nice sort of like comparative piece of material, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's not directly adapting the book,
Right.
But it's a comparative piece of material.
Well, and that's the
Right.
term adaptation is to move something from someplace to somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's going to change in the process, and that change is fine. But like, why just like pull names from something?
Yeah, and then
make vague powers from it, and not like you should at least like the material you're adapting.
Yeah.
You should at least like the material
and,
you're
Yeah.
adapting.
and that leads us into Deadpool in this film. Like, I've said this
Yeah.
on multiple episodes that the reason Deadpool looks like that is because Tom Rothman said nobody wants to hear a guy like that talk that much.
Right.
So they sewed his mouth shut and changed him into a totally different character because, hey, wouldn't this be cool? Have all these powers in one place? They thought they were really clever.
Yeah.
And they even said to Ryan Reynolds, you're either going to do it like this or you're not going to be in the movie. So
Well,
easy-
he's not even the final product. That's a
that's a stuntman.
Yeah,
yeah.
different
He's
actor.
in like the close-up shots, and then the rest of it is a stunt actor that they brought in. And he's even said in interviews like that's mostly not him. Most of it is a stunt actor that they brought in, and he's only in there for close-ups where you see his face. And then most of it is just not even him.
And not even that. The scene where he turns on the Cyclops vision
Yeah.
and burns the marks onto his face.
Yeah.
Dumb. That's not Ryan Reynolds' eyes.
Yeah.
That's not his face. That ultra close up that is mostly CG, not his face.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they got. What's his name for? Maybe that's why Jason was there. Because Jason has two different colored eyes, and that's what they got. You know, they were like, "Oh, we'll get his powers of looking interesting eyes, and we'll use that to make all the other characters
Nando,
not know who this guy is." Maybe,
you need to stretch before you reach like that.
yeah. To that effect, I think the other biggest problem with this movie is most of the CGI doesn't look very good. Like
This is because it's a product of not having a
disgusting.
finished script. Like when you're shooting stuff and editing it and trying to get visual effects done as quickly as possible because you're on a time schedule.
Yeah.
Like when you're with the deadline of this, they had to release it at a certain time, and because of that, because of not having a finished script, and you're scouting locations as you're filming. Like, yeah, sometimes that happens. Like, but something like this where it's like you're literally just making it up as you go.
Yeah.
That's the product.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to get a film that doesn't look like it's finished. This movie needed another like 6 months to get finished.
Sure. Unfortunately, though, even if you had the best CGI in this film,
It doesn't save the broken ass plot.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't save the plot, but it's also shot ugly. Like
It's
Yeah.
flat. Any actual shots are just plain. It's just like we need a medium wide of this happening.
Yeah, it's the same thing as X-Men 3. It's like shoot it in a close up or medium or like just flat lighting. There's nothing. There's no like amazing visual effects. There's no visual color palette. The lens choices are very, very lame. Like, there's nothing. There's nothing to talk about.
At least Last Stand tried to do as much practical as they could.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's
at least that.
It's insane that they tried to find a way to shoot New Orleans boring. Like the most interesting looking city in the United States. We went there and it just looked like Hollywood backlot with a couple of like galleries or like fire escapes. Although the thing that he climbs up, the thing that Gambit climbs up that Wolverine cuts, like that is a fire escape, right? It's not a gallery. Like in New Orleans, they don't have little ladders. It's just like little raised, balconies. And it's so weird that they did that.
Which effect is worse? His claws in the bathroom scene or him slashing the fire escape?
That's a
slashing the fire
toss
escape.
A coin. But I will say, when they first pop out those claws, it looked like the sword in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
It really did look like the sword, where it looks like it's too shiny. It looks like it doesn't. It's like just drop it in. Like, you didn't have prop claws.
No.
Like they had props in the first two movies.
Even the
where are the props?
Even the rotoscoping, the base of the claws moves in between his
Oh,
fingers.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's what gets it, because I think shiny, crappy looking claws is one thing, but you watch that and your eyes know something's off, and it feels
It's the
uncomfortable.
Uncanny Valley, yeah.
Yeah. I think but as much as I hate that, I think slicing up the fire escape is way worse. Because
that's
I think almost all of the effects in the Gambit scene are pretty terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, again, he is in New Orleans, the most visually exciting New York City, right? Or, excuse me, United States city. He has some of the most visually interesting powers in the X-Men universe. Like, there's so many fun things you could do with him. His little cards are usually on fire, kind of. Like, that's the effect. And, and glowing or something. Like, there's more to it than that. And with this, you'd really be hard-pressed to... And he doesn't look anything like his character either. Like, I think a lot of the costuming in this movie was kind of boring. Everybody looked like they were in the Matrix. And, like, I don't know, of 2008, I don't think we were going for that. Like, obviously Sabretooth is like a vampire in this, but I don't know where they got that from. Because they got good costumes in the first couple X-Men movies.
When did the girl that played Rogue join that vampire show?
True Blood?
True Blood.
2006?
There you go.
I think she was there from the beginning.
He's literally just a True Blood character in the wrong movie.
Yeah, because I think that's part of why... Oh, no, 2008. Sorry.
The black suits was like from the Ultimate X-Men comics. Like, that's the Ultimate.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so they wanted to have more of like the kind of like leather outfits, and it was also mandated by the studio. Like, we're not going to make it look like the comics. Like, we're making it look something different. Like, guys, you're adapting a comic. Like, but I will say, like, without those growing pains, we wouldn't get to the MCU.
Sure.
Like, because we see like how bad it could get. The MCU went in the exact opposite direction. Said, you know what? Fuck it. Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a talking tree and a talking raccoon. Like that, they went so hard in the opposite direction, and everybody embraced it. Like, so we have the MCU because of this garbage.
Sure.
So it's growing pains.
But also, like, Blade looks fucking great now.
Well, Blade, it works for that character.
Yeah.
Like, he's a vampire hunter. It works for that character. Like, that's an example of where you can get away with it. This can't get away with it. Doesn't work.
And my biggest other complaint, and this is, I would say, the biggest structural complaint, is this movie is not a movie. It is a video game where Wolverine goes to the boss and has a boss fight. And this movie, even though it is a video game, has a worse plot than the video game that's based on this movie.
I've heard the game is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. And it even does things in this movie. Like, so the blob fight in the script was originally in a supermarket, and then they changed it in the movie but didn't change it in the video game, and it's better in the video game.
Yeah, they changed it because they couldn't get a supermarket, and it would cost money, and you'd have to have extras and people. And
that, and like the script supervising on a supermarket fight.
Oh, Jesus
for
Christ.
continuity.
Yeah.
That is people. If you ever see anything happen action-wise in a supermarket, the fucking Mist deserved an Oscar just for the fact that they kept the continuity so well.
Yeah.
That is a thankless job.
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who just shot a short film where I had a poker table that gets upset. And I'm still trying to find ways to fake that in the edit because we fucked it up. There are scenes where it just doesn't match.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Yeah. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And if the movie's good and if things are going well, you're willing to forgive that because you're entertained. But if your brain is like, I don't blame people that see a bad movie and come out with like plot holes and just like that's what they take from it, because it's like your brain goes into a theater and expects to be entertained.
Right.
And if it can't be entertained by the movie, it's going to figure out another way. And it's like, oh, let's see if this, if this guy's like, let's see if the Flash has the same haircut shot to shot in the Justice League movie, because he doesn't, because of the reshoot hair and like stuff like that. It's like kind of fun to pay attention to because the movie's so bad.
That's a fun drinking game. Which one is Zack Snyder? Which one is Joss Whedon?
Listen, we tried that, and there's about 40 usable minutes of that episode. Literally about 40 minutes in, we are A, so drunk, and B, so bored that we just start talking about the Star Trek Green Lantern crossover in the comics.
Oh.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
It is a thing, and we talk about it at length.
Yeah. But I mean, I will say, like, going back to Man of Steel again. I hate going back, but it's like a Rosetta Stone at this point,
right?
But like that episode, I said, every one of these movies has plot holes. The most important thing is, are you engaged with the film? Are you engaged emotionally with the film? And if the answer is no, then the only thing you're going to get out of the movie is, this was wrong, that plot doesn't make any sense. Right. You're just going to start analyzing it as like a dissection on a fucking autopsy table.
Right.
Like, you're not going to be thinking about like the emotional engagement because there is none.
Right.
So this is what the problem is. Like, because everything is so boring and everything feels so flat the entire time and the filmmaking is very lame, all you're doing is just ripping the movie to pieces because the movie's not good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if this movie took more risks in terms of like,
they planned
costuming,
to. They were going to, and then the studio stopped them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is quite a shame. But yeah, the video gameness, it really does, for anybody who's listening to this, who hasn't played a Mortal Kombat game, it's mostly that, where like the story is like, these two characters meet, and even though they're both good guys, the game has to figure out a way to make them fight, and then they do, and then they both like, they help each other up, and it's like, hey, do you know where Scorpion is? I do. All right, let's go find him. And then like they bump into another character who has slightly more information, and then eventually they fight the guy that they should be fighting.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think Gambit comes off really poorly in this movie, but Blob is the worst one, where it's just like, if you want to find out what he's up to,
it ends up at the same place that they would have ended up anyways.
Right. Because Brandon's not here, I can't play those kinds of games because there's a logic loop that breaks so hard for me, and it's exactly what you were saying. You have to fight someone you're friends with.
Yeah.
And then I pull a fatality where I rip their fucking spine out.
Yeah.
And then in the next scene, we're buddies and we're talking about where to go next. That just, my brain, I can't make the leap. I literally can't make the leap.
I couldn't even finish Mortal Kombat 11. I just can't.
And
do
it has to be. It always needs to be some sort of ridiculous, like a lot of the time, some ridiculous misunderstanding.
Right.
Which is how this movie does it, where like he walks in and he's like, "Hey," Wraith is like, "Hey, if you want to find out where to find Sabretooth, Dukes knows the guy who can do that." And he walks in and he's literally like, "Hey, bub," and he's like, "You call me Blob?" And then they fight, and then Gambit's the same way. Gambit's maybe bugs me more than Dukes, because at least you get the line Blob, where Gambit's sitting at the table with him, with Wolverine at the poker table, and like the line leading up to that is kind of cute, where it's like, "Are you someone that owes me money?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, we'll play with me." And Gambit sees Wolverine's dog tags and is like, "Those are some mighty nice dog tags. The man who captured me had ones that look just like that." And I'm like, they look like dog tags? They're not special. It's not like they're gold or something. It's a guy from the army. I don't know. It's the 80s. A lot of people came back from Vietnam and still wear their dog tags. Like, it's just super, just convenient misunderstandings that lead to silly boss fights. And and the game does it better, and it's insane. And the game also films it better. Yeah. The game does a really fun way of showing Wolverine leap and like land on guys. And I get that it's different, but I've never had that experience where the video game based on the movie is markedly better than the movie in pretty much every way.
Spider-Man 3 is the other.
Oh yeah, that one was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
the game
that's
is
true. That's
way
a good
better
one.
than the movie.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I
Yeah.
just realized something. The structure of this movie is not a standard structure. It is It is like Star Trek Into Darkness. This happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then the movie ends.
Yeah.
Whereas the proper structure of a film is this happened because that happened, therefore this will happen. That's the proper structure.
I was saying that in the group chat. The first 2 acts of this
There's
movie.
there's no plot. There's scenes.
Yeah, the first 2 acts, or the Act 1 into Act 2, is really good at the therefore. It is therefore, like, Logan sees murder that he doesn't like, and he's trying to make a change. Therefore, he leaves and goes to Canada.
Yeah.
But
Right.
So it's the therefore. But this is the South Park. Trey and Matt. They hammer this in. If you go to any of their workshops, these guys are fantastic at storytelling because they have to do 20 minutes of like on topic things in 6 days. They are masters at this.
What's that documentary called? Was it 6 Days Out?
6 Days Out.
Yeah, where they talk about like producing one episode of South Park.
Yeah. Oh, Bill Hader just steals that documentary too. But it's therefore but until you get to just. I'm trying to figure out exactly where it breaks down, and I think it's the assassination because it is Wolverine escapes Weapon X and goes to the and intersects this couple because he's in their barn.
Yep.
Therefore, they are nice and invite him in.
Yeah.
And Agent Zero shows up and assassinates them.
He assassinates John and Martha Kent.
Right.
Yep.
And
in a helicopter, because that's how video games would go with that character,
Right.
because he can't have guns. So yeah, that would
An
be how you set
assassin
up
that
that
makes
level.
their presence known.
Yep.
Whatever.
and from there it's Ann's and Cyclops is here and he gets abducted and they use his so it really does do the therefore
and
but.
Sabretooth is working with Stryker the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
all this convenience just for the sake of, hey, let's get to a big fight on the top of one of the reactors on 3 Mile Island.
Which like
He goes up there, it's like, you're going up, like, where are you going to go?
right
He can teleport.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is your plan?
back to back.
And,
That was the back.
which is a
I'll-
reference at the very beginning in the credit sequence.
Yeah.
Like, you reference something in your fucking credit sequence.
Right.
It's not set up within the structure of the actual plot. It's referenced in the credits.
Right.
Like,
And when
of
I
course
read
nobody
that, or
caught
when
it.
I saw this recently, is the first time I've actually heard that line. I had never heard that in the credit or in the opening credit sequence before, and then just now it's like, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
I remember when they fought back
the
to back
music
in
steps
the
on it. The
trench,
music steps
but
on it a lot. Yeah.
yeah. And it's just too good. You don't give a shit about what they're saying. You're just like
that-
enjoying the visual.
That and the not Wakanda scene. So the plan there feels really set up until it doesn't.
Yeah.
So they have Agent Zero takes out the guards on point. Cool, that's why he's there. Blob takes down the tank because that's his power set. That's why he's there. Then
Yep.
they're all in an elevator. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
The Dominic Moynihan's, what was his character's name?
Bolt.
He turns the elevator back on. That's why he's there.
Yeah. Also worth noting that the actual work print of that, they didn't actually change the lighting in that scene. They just changed it in editing.
Wow.
That's not. They didn't change the lighting on set. That was just like, nope, we're just gonna change it in post.
Whoops.
Like, you guys can just turn the lights off. Like, you
Yeah.
fucking lazy pieces of shit. That's the part that I will. Let's shit on the gaffer for a little bit. Okay, I don't usually take a dump on
Let's
people
get the
below
best
the
boy
line.
in here too. Let's get the whole crew.
Like, I don't take a shit on people below the line most of the time because I am a below the line employee. I've worked on several film sets, but I will take note here. Like, the gaffer didn't just say, "Hey, we can just turn the lights off."
Right.
Like, just turn the lights off. Like, you can literally do that. No, we'll fix it in post. Gaffer should have just been like, "Fucking turn the lights off." It'll make it better.
Yeah.
Right.
But no one said a goddamn thing. No one said no making this movie,
So
except for fucking Tom Rothman.
true. So
No, you can't have him. You can't have Deadpool constantly talking.
So they have Deadpool exit the elevator and take out all the people in the diamond cleaning room,
That magically, just,
which is also the office.
that has an
Yeah.
adamantium rock on the table.
Right.
For
So
why?
well, better question. Why were Sabretooth and Wolverine there?
No idea. Like, you got a
Well,
guy
Sabretooth like scaled the building all goofy. That was his like
to do what?
to do nothing. Yeah.
He scales the building and then comes back down to go into the elevator.
Yeah. And
Yep.
Wraith goes to teleport to get the guy's gun a second before the general dude uses it.
Right.
Like, it's like, man, it's fun that you guys all do your powers one at a time, but it'd probably work better if you did them all at the same time.
The
like,
proper way to do
it's
it.
nice that all the bad guys wait for everyone to have time to do their thing.
Right.
The proper way of doing this is to have like Wade be the guy that takes out the guys in the lobby, and then you have Will.I.am, whatever the fuck his name is, Wraith.
Wraith.
I think- yeah, he
Wraith.
sneaks-
John Wraith.
He goes up to the rooftop to take out anybody that's on the roof, any of the snipers.
Right.
And then you have Wolverine and Sabretooth are your tanks. They're sent in to kill everybody in the room, and Bolt is the guy that just turns on and off the electricity to let them get access to the building. There you go. I solved it
Yeah.
in like 5 seconds,
And
no one ever thought of this.
and you have the back-to-back thing get set up more there.
yeah,
It's
like back
that-
to back. They
Right.
fight in that room.
That is their move. Their move is, this is too hard, let's go back-to-back.
Yeah. But no, it's just Wade Wilson does everything.
Yep.
They're the X-Force. They're a team. Make them work as a team.
Right. I think we need to throw to a break because I definitely need
That's
to
a
at
great
least
idea.
take
I
a
got-
piss.
Yeah, this is...
Samesies.
Can we just piss on this movie? Do you have a hard copy of this movie? Can we just piss on it? Fuck this piece of
wish
I
I
do
did.
not have a
I-
hard copy, and I'm very
I
glad.
don't either.
This movie sucks.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, I'm sure we'll have more issues.
Yes.
Because I'm sure Nando has a great pitch on how to fix it, and it's just going to
I
uncover
do.
more issues with the film.
Yeah.
Nando, tell the people where they can
Yes.
find you.
Oh, sure. I am at Nando V Movies on Twitter and YouTube, and that's the Discord channel that exists, and that's the Patreon. So all that stuff. If there's a thing, there's a Nando V Movies version of that. I even think I made a Nando V Movies TikTok just in case I have to, if YouTube decides to be bad, even, in a way, I'll do that. And then I have podcast called Mostly Nitpicking, where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture. So in a similar way, but a lot of the times it's more like, it's kind of like what you were talking about with the, what's this gun? This guy says 100 clicks and then he says 100 miles. Like, that's bad. That's a thing from
A
our
click
The
is
Mummy
different from a
episode that
mile.
we just learned. Yeah. Do you guys see The Mummy? Did you do an episode on that?
It's on the shit list.
We're not fixing the
yeah.
The plan for the Mummy is we're not going to fix it because there's no way of fixing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like a creepypasta thing. We're going to pitch better Dark Universe movies for the Dark Universe that never got made.
It's in the vein of
Fair.
Invisible Man.
Yeah,
It's like
because Invisible
Right,
Man is
yeah.
a near perfect movie in my opinion.
infinitely better.
It's so goddamn good. Yeah.
I gotta watch it
also,
again.
it's on streaming on
It's
Amazon
on streaming
for
on
$20.
Amazon.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's there now.
It's so
Thanks,
good.
Lee Winnell.
It's really good. Yeah, thank you, Lee Winnell, for fixing that.
But what was I gonna say? So Mostly Nitpicking. It's on wherever podcasts are found, and we're at Nitpicking Pod on Twitter. I'm pretty sure that's it as far as like my endeavors go. If I come up with some in the next 10 minutes, I'll put them on. But that's most of it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think
hell yeah.
I think I'm subscribed to like 4 out of 5 of those things. You don't have an Instagram, do you?
I do, but I don't use it very much. I'm not good at. I'm better at Twitter because not much of what I do in my daily life involves pictures.
Yeah.
Besides pictures of my cat or pictures of like things that I'm editing, but I don't like putting those up.
Sure.
So it's mostly my cat, and he's gorgeous. I don't know where he is, but there's only so many pictures of him you can put up.
Right. I kept trying to do Instagram, and what happens is I'll post the trailers of the movies or the poster of the movie we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and then we'll get takedowns. We'll get like strikes against it to be like, this is copyrighted material, which I didn't even know was a thing on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, and so the post will get they'll disappear for a day. No one will see it, and then it'll show up in the feed. So it still exists on the profile, but won't come into people's feeds.
They call it shadow banning,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Do
it's
you-
so if anyone's listening that does like fan posters, I'll tag your shit until I die if we
Yeah.
can use those. I need them.
Yeah, because
Well,
I don't know.
can you take a picture of a screen with a poster on it? Because usually, if I'm doing something like that, I'll go to a movie theater and take a picture of the poster, like in the lobby, and post that. And I've never had problems there.
Yeah, I've done the same thing.
Well, yeah, that no issues there. However, when we talk about Batman v Superman,
we can't show the actual poster.
I can't find that poster
Right.
in a theater.
There's a really
Yeah.
good one I'll share to you. It's
Okay,
really good. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, so I'm again, this is weird tangent. Just trying to figure out how to do Instagram with Film Rescue, and was curious.
You
if
should
had one.
use, because you were saying there's good fan versions, but there's also like those fun little crappy fan versions when like, not to make fun of people that do Photoshop and just for fun, because good for them, but like when it's like Batman v Superman's coming out in 2 years and people will take like a picture of Brandon Routh and a picture of Dark Knight Batman and then just like mash them all together.
That's not a bad idea.
Those are fun as long as you're like, hey, this guy made it, and also we're not pretending that this is the real one, but like, man, I'm sure there's one for this.
Absolutely. It's probably got
yeah.
Hugh Jackman from like, what's that movie where he's in Australia with Nicole Kidman?
Australia.
I think it's called Australia.
You
yeah.
answered your own fucking question. There you go. I sent you one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so that's it. We're going to break now. That was a weird tangent. Nando, check out Nando V Movies on everything.
Yeah.
That's called good branding.
There you go. We're everywhere. You can't escape us.
You know what's funny? I told Seth that he should really play the X-Men Origins Wolverine video game. He's like, isn't that just a God of War clone? First off, Seth, everything is a fucking clone of everything nowadays when it comes to any fucking genre, okay? But to use the word clone for this actual good game is insulting. It's dope. Play X-Men Origins Wolverine. I don't care how fucking old it is. Give it a play. It's better than this goddamn movie. And you get your Sentinels. Hey, is Jesse on this one? I bet you he's called the comics books by 100 times by now. Fucking Jesus Christ. Jesse, they're fucking comics. Just in case you don't understand. The goddamn comics, okay? Stop insulting books by calling them books. They're comics first. The book is second. They're comics. Okay? No, you're the first person I've ever met that shortens comic books to books. Maddening. Crazy. Anyway, we're going to talk about Hugh Jackman today. Quarantined in, stuck, doing what I do best, not talking to people, not touching people. We're going to do Australia. God damn it. Oh, I like rom-coms. I hate this rom-com. Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman. I love Hugh, but god damn it, Nicole. Fuck you doing in this movie. I don't understand it. And fuck, I forgot she was Australian for so long. Its pacing is all off. The writing is cheesy as hell because it's a rom-com. And it just doesn't land. And the leads aren't likable enough. It's just not good. The setting's cool and it's pretty. But that's about it. It's like a 3. That's being nice. Greatest Showman. I think I've bitched about this before, but I don't fucking care. Greatest Showman had the chance to be a really good movie. And the acting is good. And some of the songs are really good. But man, people got pissed when you talk about how much of a racist that dude was. It's like, it's like making something that's Lovecraftian that also isn't racist. Or talking about H.P. Lovecraft and not mentioning his racism. It's like writing a story about the Underground Railroad, but keeping slavery out of it. You can't have one without the other. Like, that dude was synonymous with racism and discrimination. Whatever. It's also just not good. And the love story seems kind of ham-fisted, even though it is Zendaya and Zac Efron. 4 out of 10. And we're going to do an opposite. Michael's film of the week is actually going to be a good one. And it's fucking Real Steel. Okay? This movie should have been a piece of shit. It should have been absolute fucking garbage. Somehow, they cast perfectly everybody. Evangeline Lilly, the kid, Hugh Jackman, everybody in that fucking movie. Even the bad guys are cast perfectly. And they put a concept that seems like it should be dried up, and they executed perfectly. They put good emotion. Graphically, it still holds up. Those fucking things look great. It's incredible. And it's been on Showtime a couple of days recently. I love watching that movie. It's so well made. It's so good. There's good passion. There's good emotion. There's good humanity in it. If you haven't seen Real Steel, you need to see Real Steel. Great film. Great film. I'd say it's a solid 7 out of 10. Now you guys got to go back to this thing. I'm real sorry. You know, if my segment was longer, I just keep you here, and I could just show you video of me playing X-Men Origins Wolverine and talking about how dope it is. He actually gets fucked up so much in that game that you can see his skeleton, and then it repairs itself. Oh, it's so good. Fuck you, Sam.
All right. Do we have any more wild, large grievances against this movie, or can we get into a
I want to say I
repitch?
came up with one over the break.
We covered most of them.
So much of it. Professor X looks weird when he's standing up.
Oh,
that bit is weird.
Yeah. You want to talk about fix it in post?
Yeah.
He looks like Mr. Clean.
De-aging has come a long way since
Which
then.
is weird. This came out after X-Men 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is clearly like, we don't have any money left.
Also-
and then they run to that helicopter on a green screen.
in a tube.
And they don't move with the ground. It's so bad.
That is the worst shot of the movie.
That's the worst shot of the movie.
Yeah, I
It's
think so, too.
ugly.
And it's weird because they set that up where Wolverine frees all the mutants, but there's a nice little bit right before that where Wolverine looks at all the mutants, and you kind of get a sense for oh, that one's ice, and that one's diamonds, and that one's Quicksilver probably, and they're all in separate cages, and then they all get freed, and they don't all get cool moments. What the hell? Give them all a little moment to do a thing, and I think that's the only time, not the only time. But X-Men 2 has that, where the mansion is under siege, and it's this one gets a thing, this one gets a thing.
Yeah.
And that's how X-Men work well. And Logan has that at the end of Logan, where it's Richter gets a thing, and the one who controls, animals or whatever. Not animals. Who is
Sure.
it? I forget.
Plants.
Yeah.
That's right,
Poison
yeah.
Ivy in the X-Men universe.
Little Black Tom Cassidy. Yeah, exactly. Some version of that gets a moment. And, I feel like the X-Men movies are remarkably bad at that a lot of the time. It's just we have 7 or 8 mutants. They're all different colors, or one of them has a fin on his head or something to make them all look different. And then you just ignore most of the powers. It's all fan service and set dressing, which is annoying to me.
Where were the guards as they were leaving? They're in a guarded compound that Gambit had to escape. Their powers could have come out taking down.
Shoots a couple of them, but I think that's it.
They're just running through tunnels after that. There's no.
Are they the part of the military, or are they a separate division that's just working for Stryker?
Paramilitary.
Weapon X? Yeah,
It's muddy. I
Right.
don't know who's working for what.
Right.
Well, in X2, Stryker works directly for he has to get.
He's directly working under the guidance of the president.
Yeah.
He's directly working with the military. And that's kind of what bothers me in X-Men 2 is that all the guys the X-Men are killing in that movie, they're just guards doing their jobs.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not bad guys. They're just doing their jobs, which is kind of makes them all into violent murderers.
Hey
a
man,
little.
Death
If you
Star
really think about it,
contractors. They know what they're doing. They know what they
that
signed
was
up
be-
for.
That was before people knew about Blackwater and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
Well, and that helps set up Nightcrawler as being this gray character because
right.
he's taking out what look like good guys, Secret Service at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you're oh, he was being mind controlled.
Yeah.
But then you're right. It
It
breaks.
it breaks the movie
when
yeah.
they get to the dam.
I think they didn't think about it at the time.
right.
I think there's like I said, Death Star contractors from Clerks. I think there's a certain amount of I'm jumping into a school and shooting children with a machine gun, where it's these guys are not great guys. Because
those guys I'm fine with. It's the guys at the dam that are
Are they military or are they contractors or they're wearing military fatigues?
That has to be Alaskan crabbing kind of contracts too, where you're up there for 6 months and then you leave and have a normal life for 6 months. You don't just live close to that dam and drive to work every day. There's no parking lot. You get flown in.
Yeah.
Well, do X-Men kill them? Do good guys ever kill any of those
They straight up
guys?
kill them. They do.
Oh,
because there's the sequence where Magneto pulls all the pins out.
Yeah,
of
but
his
that's
grenades and kills all the
Magneto.
guys. But that's Magneto. But
the X-Men
Wolverine
kill
straight
any?
up.
Wolverine is
straight up ends people.
Oh, he is straight up killing people. Especially with the raid on the mansion. He's killing guys.
Well, raid on the mansion.
There's that
those
one
guys
shot
have
where
the
he stabs the
machine
guy
guns.
against the refrigerator, which actually in the original version of that scene, he screams in his face, and then it cuts away in the final cut of the film because they said, "No, it's too intense. You're gonna get an R rating."
Oh, man,
now it's whatever, but back then it's oh, that's horrible
compared to Bloodshot.
Yeah,
I can't just movies are so violent now.
Yeah.
I'm so
Plus,
sensitive.
getting shot in the face and his face blows off.
Right.
But it's all bathed in red, so it's like he's a robot man. Doesn't matter.
And sometimes it's
Yes.
like I think there was enough like of like because that shot specifically from X2, and X2 is like legit one of my favorite movies. So but it's got all
It's a good
the
film. It's
like
good.
pre 2008, like before Iron Man. It's got all kinds of like goofy CGI where Wolverine in that shot like runs into that guy in the kitchen where he's with Bobby and then pulls his claws out and the guy just falls over, but there's nothing. There's no
Oh, yeah.
bullet holes,
that-
not bullet holes, but
That reminds
yeah.
me, like that happens in this one as well when Wade stabs both guys with the swords at the end of the attack in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He puts the sword up right center frame, and he's like, "Okay, people are dead. There's no blood on the sword.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
so like tame and clean. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I'd
like,
love to think the R-rated version of this is better, but it's probably not.
no, but it's still got broke ass logic in it.
Right.
It's like the blood
Yeah.
and gore does not save this movie.
Right.
No,
Sometimes
not
it
at all.
can save a film. This really it can't.
It definitely lets you run into that Commando territory, though.
Right.
That like
Yeah.
over the top violence for the joke more than for the sake of violence.
Oh yeah, when he cuts the guy's arm off. Yeah, it's
And,
it's
like-
funnier. Like
Yeah.
sometimes violence makes it funny. Like it's meant to be over the top, but this
Right.
it's like the movie's meant trying to be so self-serious all the time. It's like, but they're
Right.
making the dumbest decisions all the time.
Yeah.
So
And then you could curse. And these movies, the X-Men movies, man, when they curse, it's great. Or whenever
Yeah.
the characters like give each other the middle finger with claws, or where what's her name, Lady Deathstrike shows up and does her hands, and then Wolverine's like, "Oh
holy
shit." Yeah, it's great.
Shit.
Like you could throw in a couple of those and really like litter this movie with F-bombs.
Absolutely.
That'd be so much fun. But
Hey, people are fucking dead.
yeah, I
Yeah.
fucked him up. We're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that more for sure.
yeah,
Fucking Gambit would be a foul-mouthed
Yeah.
guy for
And he
sure.
could.
He could probably throw in like fun Cajun slang that none of us know, but
Right.
is clearly like bad to say, and it would be like he's barely anything. That character, man, it's crazy that he has
Can we
only
use
been on
character
screen
in
that.
quotes?
Yeah.
Character in quotation marks.
You know, you haven't done your pitch yet, and I don't know what it is, but George Miller's X-Men would be off the chain fantastic.
That does sound good.
He knows how to do multiple
Yeah.
characters. He knows how to spread screen time. He knows who to focus in on. He does like really great action
He knows
sequences.
how to edit an action scene.
Yeah,
It's like he knows how to do everything. He's good at characters, and he's good at story, and he's good at action. Like
Yeah.
that's the trifecta:
Yeah.
character, story, action. Done. That's it.
George Miller's X-Men. I don't know. I'd be written by Hickman.
There
you
you go.
Sure.
Hickman writes your movie. George Miller directs it. It's perfect.
See, there's so
All
many directors where like Matthew Vaughn's X-Men was great, and then Bryan Singer stole it from him, but came back and was like, I'm actually Jay Leno taking Conan O'Brien's spot. Like, I decided I'm not retired. Like, it sucks because he went to make Kick-Ass, or not Kick-Ass, Kingsman, right? Or when was
he did
Kick-Ass?
Kingsman.
First Kingsman, I think.
No, Kick-Ass was
I
before
think
Kingsman.
I do think so. Yeah.
Because he didn't do Kick-Ass 2
that's
to
right.
do Kingsman.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
so like he made 2 movies with just fantastic action sequences, and then the
Right.
X-Men movies got generic again. And yeah, it pains me to no end that like only 3 or 4 directors have gotten a shot at an X-Men movie, besides like ones like this where nobody really did. And like
Right.
whenever you give it to like an auteur, someone like James Mangold or Matthew Vaughn, you get something pretty special. And then
Right.
when you give it to Bryan Singer, it's like, maybe this is good. And then you give it to Simon Kinberg and Brett Ratner, and it's bad. And like, yeah, I'd love to see anybody else. I mean, I'm always pitching that, not pitching, but I'm always saying like whenever there's something that's special effects heavy or where you have to do, weird creative action, I always want the Wachowskis on. I would love to
Sure.
see their X-Men movie. But that's
I'd
not
be
what
into
that. But I'd love to see their anything movie. They could make,
Absolutely.
12 Angry Men, and I'd be like probably into it.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see it's funny too, like these kinds of movies, comic book movies, are kind of primed for new voices, new innovations, new themes and visualizations, and just you can kind of do whatever you want with these.
Yeah, I mean,
and
every single time they try to bring in a director that has like a vision, like
Right.
the movie turns out pretty good.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Matthew Vaughn, X-Men First Class, or like James Mangold with Logan. You know, it's like or Tim Miller, Deadpool. Like when there's a
Right.
vision, like there's somebody that says like we're gonna try something.
Right.
Taika
That's interesting
Waititi,
and-
Ragnarok. Like
Taika
that
Waititi,
is
Ragnarok. Like
yeah.
when you have that happen, the movie turns out really special and memorable. Like
Right.
of the 3 Thor movies, the only one that's really worth watching again is Ragnarok.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's the problem. It's like
Here's my stuff.
He's holding the shake weight. That's the best. He's holding the shake weight. But yeah, like when you have like people trying to do something and do something unique, like
Yeah.
that's when it pays off. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was having an argument with Dinesh again about Bloodshot, and I said like a better director could make that. And I said like, what if you had somebody like George Miller? What if you had like look at Jackie Chan movies?
Yeah.
Like why is the action so good? It's all on a wide.
Yeah.
It's in a
Yeah.
wide. Like let
Get
it,
the
let
John
it sit
Wick
in a wide.
guys. Like
Get the
it's
John,
so
like originally they were gonna do it, and then they
Yeah.
dropped out. You know, and so like that's like when you have a good director that has a vision, that's when something turns out really special. When you have somebody that just does what he's told as part of the studio or something like that, then or like you're trying to play it safe,
Right.
that's when you get a problem.
And it's not just the vision, it's trusting your crew. A big
Yeah.
reason why John Wick works is because they know to let the stunt guys do stunt things
Yeah,
and go
because the directors were stunt guys.
right, and it's
Right.
like run, have a good time, just run with this.
Yes.
And that turns out so much better.
Yeah. Then just hey, I know how to direct commercials.
Right. Like
Mm-hmm.
Lee Manel on Upgrade.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
sure he wasn't the stunt coordinator or stunt director, but he said, "Hey, I've got a really unique visual thing we're going for here.
Yeah.
Let's run with that."
Yeah.
And there's 3 action sequence? All 3 are fantastic.
Yeah. Let's work
Yeah.
together to make something that's really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. There you
I'm
go.
I'm sure he like storyboarded some fun stuff, like
Sure.
this bit where he gets up and then the camera moves with him. Lee Winnell seems to love those shots, and they're great.
Sure.
And then he was like, "You just do the rest. You know what you're doing." And
Yeah.
yeah,
He
well,
loves
I was
that
looking.
iPhone. He loves that iPhone trick.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah.
It is. What is it called? What is that when it's like the camera is centered on somebody's head, and the background kind of moves? What is that called?
Oh,
don't
the face focus steady cam.
That's it.
Yeah,
Face
yeah.
focus Steadicam. That's it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good-
I
good
was
effects.
looking this up, what George Miller's up to, because I was like, man, it's been a while since he made a movie.
He's supposed to be
Apparently
working
he's-
on the next Mad Max.
So there's that,
Right.
and there's something called 3,000 Years of Longing with Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton, and there's no
That's on
plot
hold.
summary.
That's
yeah,
on
exactly.
hold.
It was in pre-production, so don't expect much from it. But it seems like it's a romance movie, so screw it,
Well,
man.
he's done everything.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, he
done
could make
every
another-
genre.
He made Babe, and that was
Yeah.
good. Babe
No,
2, I
he
think.
produced Babe. He directed Babe 2,
Pig in the City.
Yeah, he
Big in the
directed.
City,
Yeah,
which is
that's
also
right.
just as good.
Which
Yeah.
is it's Okja.
It is Okja. It's
Yeah,
Okja.
that's
it's basically
true.
It's just Okja. Yeah.
Which again, that's Bong Joon-ho,
That's
right?
Bong Joon-ho.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
so and like literally references him all the time of like I love George Miller. Yeah, makes sense.
Surprise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good directors know good directors.
Yeah. There you go.
I want to hear a pitch.
Let's talk
That's
about
why
this.
we're here.
Yeah.
Nando,
Yes.
fix this movie for me so I love it.
Okay, so here's the biggest problem with this movie. It is it's too much. So like, I think if we're making an X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is what we're making, it shouldn't be. I think it's okay. I think it's even okay to set a movie before he has a memory loss thing. I think you can even set this movie in the past with him ending with like some sort of explosion or magical memory wipe, and he doesn't have his memory. But I think you guys were right. It's the very beginning stuff that we have to lose. All of the little baby Wolverine.
Him as a kid.
Yes.
Him as a kid. We don't need that.
So I think so I think this movie tried to be kind of a fake proto X-Force movie, which I get, but I think I think the X-Force there are more opportunities for the X-Force in a future movie that would be like, am I sounding okay?
No, I'm hearing other things in the house. I think they're just playing
Oh,
Animal Crossing.
Okay, I'll go back a second.
2 games to release in the same day: Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal. How could
Yep.
you have 2 games more diametrically opposed to each other?
But
Jeez.
on the same team.
It's when we need them. Yeah, if there were ever
Those
a time.
fans crossed over really well.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Doom Eternal Animal Crossing?
Yeah,
I
those
need
are
that.
great.
I need both of them, actually.
All right,
Anyway,
so
sorry.
I'll start
Continue.
back. No, it's cool. It's cool. Okay, so I think the thing with the X-Force, though, from reading comics and just like understanding the basic premise behind it, I think it works well as not like the Suicide Squad, but the Wolverine-led Black Ops squad that is the like X-Men tangential, let's go kill Child Apocalypse team. If you're gonna take one team, and I want a team movie, and focus it, like have Wolverine live at the center of it, but it takes place in the past, and we never need to see those characters again. And hey, maybe if the movie itself is successful, we can make another one set also before Wolverine loses his memory or something. I want an Alpha Flight movie. I think this should have been X-Men Origins Alpha Flight, set it during the Cold War. So you've got, and I'm really bad at casting characters that don't look exactly like someone. So like it's pretty easy to be like, oh yeah, Bishop, that should have been Idris Elba or whatever. But if you're looking at like Alpha Flight members, I think you could take what is essentially the core team, which I have a list here. It would be Guardian, North Star, Aurora, Puck, and then maybe Snowbird or Sasquatch. I can't decide if I want Sasquatch. I don't think I do. But I think you can like kind of morph them into a fake paramilitary organization. You don't have to make them super serious, but I think you can take those characters, set a movie during the Cold War. So Wolverine has to lead this team, which is like, I've always wanted to make a World War II prequel where Wolverine works with Captain America, but let's say at this point he can't, because the studio, this is 2008, the studios won't let Wolverine and Captain America play together. I think Guardian is a pretty solid like Captain America stand-in as just, and for people that don't know, so Alpha Flight is the Canadian X-Men team, kind of like they're all mutants except for one or two, and so there's Guardian, who is Captain America basically, but for Canada. He has a big like Canada outfit on, Canadian flag. It's awesome. There's North Star and Aurora. They're brother and sister, I think. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure they are. They
Aren't
both
they,
have
like,
super
twins or something like that.
Yeah, they're like the Wonder Twins, because they can do. I think North Star is super fast. Aurora can fly, and then if they touch each other, they could do like a big like light blast or something that is just blinding light. Puck is basically a tiny rubber man who is kind of not like the leader of the team, but he's basically the Rocket Raccoon. Not that like the smallest guy in the team has to be the Rocket Raccoon, but he just happens to be.
Sure.
And then I guess Snowbird is kind of your what's the word? Like I don't even, she's not your Groot, but she's I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Kind of your all around position player, where she could fly and she could do ice stuff, whatever. But I think I'd love a movie where Wolverine is a jerk, but has to like learn the value of teamwork and stuff from a character in this is Guardian. I think him and Guardian can clash in a really interesting way, where Wolverine's all about, killing and whatever and making all kinds of moral compromises during, like I said, the Cold War, which is when I think this should take place. And then Guardian is this, all-American / all-Canadian hero who plays by the rules and, doesn't take chances and likes to lead. And there's like that dynamic works really well together. It's almost like a buddy cop movie with this supporting cast that are, a cast of colorful characters. I don't think we'll ever see most of these guys. I don't think there will be a movie with Puck or Guardian or any of them, really. I think we might get North Star just because he's an X-Man. He seems to have crossed over most successfully to the X-Men. I believe he's also the first gay comic character. Is that a thing? Am I crazy? He had like
I couldn't answer.
Don't
I
know.
Okay,
know.
there was a very, very publicized like X-Men wedding where an X-Man like married like two gay X-Men got married, and it seemed like it was
Wasn't
kind of
Ice-
a publicity
no, it was
stunt.
Iceman.
No, so that was way before Iceman. I want to say this is like mid 2000s. I'm trying to find it on his like Wikipedia.
Don't know.
But yeah, because Iceman was retroactively turned gay maybe
Yeah.
5
It
years
is
ago.
Northstar. Northstar, the character, is one of the first openly gay superheroes in American comic books, and the
Yes.
first openly gay character to come out in a comic book published by Marvel Comics. He married his husband Kyle Janadu, maybe? Spelling, also pronunciation.
Those
in
Canadians
Astonishing
with their
X-Men.
French Canadian, like, because his name is John Paul Bobier. So,
And it was their wedding. Their wedding was the first openly gay thing.
So
Interesting.
yeah, I'm not saying that's why he crossed over to the X-Men, but that's the only reason I remember him being an X-Men. So the other ones may have made it to X-Men status, but I can't remember if they like really stuck around. And Alpha Flight has been kind of rebooted a couple of times, but I think I think it can be this kind of silly, campy X-Men like adjacent Guardians of the Galaxy almost. If I had the power to make a movie about them, like I said, I would set it in the Cold War. I would have them pursuing what, and this is the other character that I think this movie really whiffed on. Not it whiffed on because it used him poorly, but it didn't use him. Instead, it used Deadpool in the end, which, whatever. That was, I'm sure that was a studio decision motivated by the fact that he was selling comics at the time. And
Right,
probably that Ryan Reynolds just came in and was like, I want to make this, kind of like with The Rock and Black Adam, and the studio's just like, okay, we'll try to figure it out. But
Yeah.
I think this movie would have been the perfect. So let's say, right, Cold War, they are trying to track down a scientist, whoever, that guy who made Wolverine. I can never remember his name.
Stryker.
No, the other one, the one in the comics who is like, I'm so bad at characters who don't have a code name, where it's just like this man, Michael's something.
If they have a real name, it's hard to remember.
Yeah, there's only room for so many names in your brain, and his never made it. But there's some guy that's like Dr. whatever, the Dr. Frankenstein of the Weapon X program. And let's say he has been stolen, taken to the Soviet Union, and he is making their Weapon X, which in this would be Omega Red. And the Alpha Flight team has to work together, infiltrate Russia in 1980s, and find this Omega Red character before they're able to mass produce him or something.
Okay.
I think I think it's the closest you can get to a Wolverine Origins movie without and I don't have a problem with this, but I've also not a World War II veteran, getting to like rewrite history. Like, oh, okay, if only Wolverine was there on D-Day, we all would have lived. But no, like,
Well,
I'm
apparently
sure
he was in that very Spielbergian World War II scene.
Yeah. And I would love to set a movie in that time period with him, like I said, with Captain America, but I do feel like it falls into that, like, oh, this is too real of a war for some people. Same with Vietnam, but I think the Cold War, didn't happen, but there was this secret, like, American Russian conflict that we didn't even know was happening behind the scenes, where no real people died, but the Alpha Flight team had to go find the character who, whatever his name is, and stop him from making Omega Red. Were you Googling this, by the way? Did anyone figure out what this dude's name is?
Thornton, I think is his name.
I want to like really nail this one down, but
Abraham Cornelius.
yes, that's right,
Wow.
Dr. Cornelius. Yes.
That is the most old-timey name.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, so
Abraham Cornelius. Yeah,
He's the one I
created
want.
by Barry Windsor Smith. Oh wow, okay. He's an important guy in comics.
So
But
yeah,
yeah.
I think I've pitched the Wolverine / Captain America crossover before, basically with Mr. Sinister as the main villain who is stealing mutants, and it's not too complicated, and I think it would work great. But I think you can more or less sub out Mr. Sinister for Cornelius, and then experimenting on mutants for Omega Red. I think most of the, like, obviously that would be like the second and third action sequences. I think a lot of the beginning of it could be almost like Mulan, where it's like they're training and they're fighting and they're, not getting along. Not necessarily Mortal Kombat-y, but just kind of like this is a group of heroes who doesn't understand each other. And most of them have pretty like big personalities, specifically like, and listen, if I have to make one, if
pick
there's
a Joss Whedon TV show.
Yes, exactly. Like, I think sometimes movies are really good at this, and even honestly, like the X-Men 1, First Class, and I guess that's it. But they did a pretty good job of saving the big conflict for the end of the movie and just having the team dynamic forming with a couple of like, spaced out action sequences be like minor ones where like Azazel kills all the guys in the military complex, being the, we have to keep the audience entertained action sequences. So I think you could do that with the forming a team of the Alpha Flight with, North Star and Aurora are the overprotective siblings, like in every comic book team, who just hug each other constantly and hate everybody. Snowbird.
Wait, are you making reference to what I think you're making reference to?
So there's the two. There's obviously the Quicksilver Scarlet Witch, and then there's the new one. What the heck are their names?
Snowflake and what's the other
Safe
one?
Space.
Safe Space.
Yeah. Which
also there. Are you not familiar? Jesse is making weird faces over here.
I don't know what this is.
So there's a new X-Men team in town, and it's a very tongue-in-cheek setup.
It's
what
New
team is
Warriors,
this?
actually. It's a New Warriors.
New Warriors.
reboot.
Oh,
so
yeah,
some are mutants, some are not.
Is that part of the X-Men stuff that Hickman's writing? That crossover? Is that New Warrior stuff?
No. This is Kibble
That's why
Smith.
I've never read any New Warrior stuff.
So it's like Kibble Smith, who did Loki, and Deadpool versus I forget, Punisher maybe. I forget. He's done some stuff and he's smart. I like him a lot, and yeah, he got a chance to reboot New Warriors. So he's taking most of the older characters and having them, like, Speedball and God, I don't even remember the rest of their names. Resurrecting Man, I don't know. They're training this new team of New Warriors. So yeah, there's Trailblazer, who has a magic backpack, who is essentially Random Chance from Venture Brothers, or Fat Chance from Venture Brothers, if any of you guys watch that. Not because she's overweight, just because she can pull random things out of the backpack. Snowflake, who makes ice shurikens. Safe Space, who can protect people with bubbles, but he can't protect himself or something.
Screen time.
Screen Time, who ingested internet gas and is able to like see the internet or something, and then B Negative, who is like Morbius,
a vampire.
Yeah, he got a blood transfusion from Morbius, and he's kind of a goth kid. And all of these pitches seem terrible, except I like the guy who's writing it, so I kind of believe there might be something to it. I don't know.
I may get buried on the internet for this, but my take on it is it's kind of parody ironic.
Yeah.
That if you're going to do a current themed superhero story, you're going to have to use Gen Z kids because they're the ones at that age that would have these powers. And I'm hoping the commentary is kind of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine-ish, where it's at times very on board with progressive ideas and then at times making fun of some of the silliness that happens, because silliness happens everywhere, right? I'm hoping that's what it is. I can't say for sure, but in my mind, it's going to play out fine, and the overreactions it's not mean-spirited. This is not she's called Safe Space because it's not like that.
I'd like to believe that the impetus behind it is, we designed 5 characters who would be the most annoying characters for this 40-year-old team of heroes to train. Because they are, but in reality, there's more to them than that. But it's like if a team of older heroes had to imagine the worst, just most annoying things, it would be that.
It's Modern Family.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Or it's kind of like a new version of Warren Ellis's what was the book? Next Wave.
Oh yeah,
Ages of Next Wave.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah,
yeah,
I love
very
that.
much like that.
Oh,
It's like
God.
these C and D list characters that are just like, nobody cares, do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give a crap.
I'm not going to hate on it until it's bad. So
Yeah,
people
same.
having like hot takes now are like, nah, sorry guys.
And I love the writer. He used to write for Colbert. He's very funny. So
He
I
wrote
trust
Quantum
that
and Woody.
there's.
He wrote Quantum and Woody until he quit. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
nobody's
so
read Quantum and Woody. I read it. Nobody else has read it.
There's
unfortunately.
something there, maybe. Either way, where was I going with this? Oh, right. That weird sibling dynamic that has
Right.
existed in
Yeah.
comics forever, but never been materialized in a movie. Even Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, I don't think they quite got there, where they were a little
No.
overprotective of each other, but they weren't like, you never... They hated the Avengers already for a bunch of different reasons, but I like the idea that Northstar and Aurora could just hate Wolverine and everyone only because they are too protective of each other to let anything happen in the team.
Right.
And I just as a huge X-Men fan, I love Puck. I think he's a whole lot of fun, and I think there's a fun kind of like the dynamic between Puck, Wolverine, and Guardian, where Guardian is, too uptight. Guardian's basically what Cyclops should have been in some of the movies, and Wolverine is the loose cannon, and then Puck exists kind of in the middle, right? Because he is his character, I believe, originally in the comics was not superpowered, and then he got superpowers to become like bouncy. He's kind of the rubber between them, and he's more flexible. But I just like, I don't know. I love a good buddy cop kind of style team movie. And also, if I got another change, and I didn't bring this up originally, Wolverine should be 5'2". I'm tired
Absolutely.
of tall Wolverine. I want a small Wolverine. And
we have
I don't.
to recast then. 'Cause-
Jared
I know.
Kiso.
Yeah, there you go, Jared Kiso. He's
Yeah.
not very tall.
I'm going to ride that ship till it sinks. Jared Kiso should be our next Wolverine.
Yeah.
He should also be Bloodshot.
Yeah, he
He
should've-
can kind of fill in anyway.
Because he looks exactly like Bloodshot in
Right.
the books. There you go. Yeah.
And get Daniel Radcliffe or something. I know that's a weird casting decision, but
Ooh.
he's also smaller.
Yeah.
As
He was in
as
Guns
a
Akimbo.
man
He
of
was a
fi-
lot of fun in that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
As a man of 5'6", I've always wanted representation in the superhero game, and it was Wolverine. He was our guy. As
Right.
a child, I loved Wolverine, and damn it, did they make him the tallest member of the team. He
Isn't it
towers
weird, like-
over Cyclops. It's so
Isn't it weird,
stupid.
like, in the books, is he like legitimately shorter than Cyclops in
Oh,
the books?
way
yeah,
shorter.
he's
Yeah.
five, I think
Yeah,
5'2"
like he has to
or
look up
5'3".
at Cyclops, yeah.
Yes,
He-
he has a diminutive kind of like chip on his shoulder that is, he is angry, and part of it is like almost a Napoleon complex with this
Right.
big square-jawed hero that is Cyclops telling him what to do, and Wolverine's like, "Man, Slim, I hate you. You suck." And he's looking like, "You're literally looking down on me." And yeah, that never. I mean, it's not even. He could just hunch. He could always be hunched, and it would be fine.
Sure.
But Hugh Jackman just too damn tall. Who was the actor that they were gonna play that Tom Cruise wouldn't let him be? Because there was a guy who was in Mission Impossible 2, and he was gonna be Wolverine, and Tom Cruise was like, "No, you got to be in my movie."
Oh, fuck. He was
forg-
the bad guy in Mission Impossible 2.
In 2.
Yes,
It's not
I
James
forget.
Purvoy.
No.
Oh, no. I know who you
I'm
mean.
Googling
You see the
it, I'll
face, you don't
figure
see
it.
the name.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
I got it. It is Dougray Scott.
That's it, Dougray
So
Scott.
he was going to be Wolverine, and I don't know if he was any good or like if it would have worked. But he is also 6 feet tall, so like screw it. They just
Right.
don't get it. They don't understand how important that is to me. So at least Puck will probably be smaller.
I've
but
had this weird hot take about Wolverine. So we in a previous episode mentioned that Wolverine should almost always be a side character.
Yeah.
He really doesn't need
Yeah.
to lead a movie. If we're going into the boat of he needs to lead a movie, he's Joe Pesci.
yeah,
I get why people
Yeah.
hate that, but he's Joe Pesci. He's this
your-
tiny
yeah.
little spitball of just like, yo, fuck you.
Yeah.
That
Get
is
your
that is
fucking shine
Wolverine.
box.
Go get your
Yeah,
fucking shine
like,
back. You motherfucker!
It's infuriating that he had just turned into like Cyclops. That there were two Cyclopses,
Right.
In that
Every
in that
X-Men movie is basically the Wolverine show.
Yeah.
Even in
know,
movies
and
where he's not even required to be there, they have a cameo because, hey, we like Hugh Jackman.
Well, I mean,
kills
and
me.
that was a thing back in the 90s. Before comic book culture was the mainstream,
Yeah.
people who were like adjacent to it would call Wolverine X-Man. That was like a running thing. Was like, oh, he makes the
man.
X with his claws. He's X-Man. Which
Nate Gray
you know,
must have been furious.
well,
Actual
yeah.
X-Man from comics. Poor
I
Nate.
remember Pogs.
I remember those.
I
remember
had
Pogs.
Our generation's Jacks.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
had a few Wolverine Pogs, and I even remember the guy at the Atomic Comics is where I bought them. They had a big bin, and you could scoop a certain amount for a certain
nice.
amount of money. I forget what it was, inflation and all that. Also, I was 6. But the guy at the comic book store was like, "Oh, you really like X-Man, don't you?" And I was like, "Wolverine?"
Ugh.
And he was like, "Yeah, X-Men." And I was like, "Oh, I thought you called him X-Man." And it was, that's what I thought his name was. And I was like, "No, It was a weird time. The
Wow.
90s fucking sucked.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why they. I liked the. Who was it? It was the Bendis costumes, I guess, that just decided, hey, Scott's the leader of this. Let's give him a big old X on his face.
Right.
That way
Yeah.
people will know. Because it's otherwise they all look the same, which I like. I like them all having a team like aesthetic. But if you're not doing that, that one has to clearly be X. Because I read this recently. I didn't know this. I was doing research for a video. Do you guys know why they're called the X-Men? What the X stands for,
Isn't
or
it
what
like,
it originally stood for?
Isn't it-
Xavier?
No, it's the X gene, isn't it?
So what does the X stand for in X gene?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't know.
It's extra. They all have an extra power. Apparently, that's what Stan Lee, when he pitched it, why he chose X-Men. It's not because of Extreme, like all of us 90s kids thought, and it's not because of Xavier. It seems like Xavier's name was picked to be Xavier around him already deciding they were the X-Men.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like the X is so ancillary
That's
to
goofy.
the actual
That's like
team.
genuinely goofy.
It's just
Yeah, but he says the way Stanley describes it is he was like, we needed a team, and I was like, let's make a guys with superpowers. How do they all have superpowers? I guess they all have this gene, like they're genetic mutants, so we're going to call them the mutants. And he went to his editor, and he was like, these are the guys, they're the mutants. And the editor was like, no one knows what a mutant is. And he was like, okay, fine, we'll call them the X-Men because they all have an extra power. And the editor was like, that makes sense. And Stanley's like, wait a second, nobody knows what an X-Man is either. Why don't we just call them the mutants? And yeah, but that's... So I forget why I said this. Oh, X-Men, Cyclops, good costume,
Right,
Wolverine, also X-Men. Yeah, I think that's the problem with the X-Men movies is they always like get ahead of themselves, like with like a baby that starts running, but its head is too
Trying
heavy,
too hard.
so the head starts leading the baby, and then it bumps into a table where it's like, all right, so we got a team of Scott, Jean, Wolverine, and Storm. Who's the main character? Well, you know what? This one will be Wolverine, and then we'll probably shift it around, and then it's like, oh, but people really like Wolverine, so I guess he's the main character now of all of them. And then they did the same thing with Mystique by accident in the future movies, where Jennifer Lawrence just became the biggest actress on earth. So it's the balance of the X-Men movies has always been off for me, and it's frustrating.
trying to make a franchise, but then one of your characters gets really popular, and you have to focus that as being the point of the franchise.
Right.
Rather than
Yeah.
the team dynamic, it always comes down to like, hey, Mystique is popular, let's put her in every movie, even though she's not
Yep.
needed.
Right.
Yeah,
I-
Mystique and Wolverine just they're great, and I love
we
both
had,
actors.
When
but-
we had Jack Packard on here, he immediately eliminated Mystique, and he relegated Wolverine to being like a side character.
Right.
Like that's like that solved like a million problems.
Wolverine was his Rocket Raccoon. He was like, yeah, this is the little Spitfire that sits in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. In an
Just sit in the
X-Men
corner and
movie, I
just
think
brood
that
all
would
day
work
long.
super well.
So
But in an Alpha Flight movie, I think it's got to be Puck. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
I watched the first X-Men after I watched Origins, just to see if, because in my head I was like, oh, this is a prequel to the original X-Men, and it kind of is.
Sure.
Even
it
though
is.
they go to Canada way early in the movie and then not
Yeah.
at all at the end, which is where he ends up.
Yeah, where you end should be where you began.
Right.
Like, but obviously script wasn't done.
Didn't happen. But here, did Hugh Jackman get a head transplant? His body
Oh, yeah.
post X3 is not the same body.
Oh, he definitely is taking some kind of HGH.
Like,
he was cast very late in the first X-Men.
Right.
Yes.
Because originally it was Dougray Scott. And then he
Right.
dropped out
But-
before they started filming, and they needed to find somebody to replace him, and he got hired. So he doesn't look like that in shape in the first X-Men film.
No.
He looks okay, like a normal person, but then
Yeah.
you get to like X-Men 2 and 3, he's in fucking jack shape. He's clearly got a big time, dose of like HGH. He's also taking some kind of hormone to increase his size.
Sure.
Like he doesn't look human after a certain point.
By the
And
time you get to
actually-
this movie,
By the time you get to the Wolverine, he looks like the veins are like a fucking
Yeah.
field all over his arms.
but it's not just that. Okay, and maybe this is a science question. Does testosterone injections change your bone structure?
They make them bigger. Basically, like your whole body is composed of protein. That basically is what your body is built upon.
Okay,
But if you increase that, your size gets bigger.
because here from this movie to X-Men 1,
Yeah.
his hands are bigger.
Yeah.
His shoulders are wider.
Yeah. His
And-
legs
and
didn't get bigger though.
His legs did not get
He's
bigger.
clearly not
But-
working
No.
his. He's
Or
skipping leg
smaller,
day.
as
But
we
it-
all
it's
would
skipping
like.
leg day.
But it's not just like muscle width on the shoulders. Hit like the what is the back muscle on
Like
your shoulder?
deltoids.
You dealt
Or
yeah,
trapezius?
Your trapezius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His traps extend way further than what they are in the first movie.
Yeah.
Also, his skin is a different color.
Yeah.
He's very pasty in X-Men 1 with a
Yeah.
very hairy chest, as I imagine a Wolverine would be.
Yeah.
And then by this movie, he's tan as fuck in Canada
Yeah.
with no chest hair.
Yeah. Clearly got waxed like the day before.
Well, Canada and then, Wakanda. Who knows how much time he was in the hot Wakandan sun.
not Wakanda.
I guess
Not
all
Wakanda.
the scenes there are nighttime, though.
That's true. Oh, so much of this movie is night. I didn't even bring that up. That's a nice way to really make a cool action scene look dumb.
Because all the daytime scenes look so bad. Windows XP
Yeah.
background
Yeah.
action scene
Yeah.
in the woods with Agent Zero. Like, perfect example. Daytime does not look good on this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I think the thing with Wolverine or with Hugh Jackman is they did one, took a shirt off for and I don't think he takes his shirt off in 2 or 3. That's when he throws on that A shirt, that wife beater, which
In two he does because you see the Weapon X project.
oh shoot, you're
yeah,
right.
when he has the nightmare. When he
Yeah.
has a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
And he's not quite that ripped, but by the time when he pops out of the fucking tub in X-Men Origins, it's like,
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
guy, where's your old body? Like, this is
He doesn't look like the same person.
not at all.
Well,
it's
they
the
do
same
that
problem.
thing-
His face shape doesn't change. Like, his
Yeah.
face doesn't get more gaunt. I was watching Cowboys and Aliens. Daniel Craig looks emaciated in that film,
Yeah.
losing weight for James Bond.
Oh.
His face shifts. Hugh Jackman does not. He looks exactly the same.
The weight changes differently for different people.
I
Well,
don't
do
know,
you think
man.
that's
It's
the
weird.
thing? I want to say I've heard Ryan Reynolds in an interview talking about doing like GQ shoots for magazine covers, and they basically just starve you of water for like 3 days, and you're
Yeah, the
they like
fasting
hobble you
dehydration.
onto set. Yeah, so maybe they just had Hugh Jackman do that once for that day where they shot the shirtless scene, and then we're like, all right, just go back to eating, and we'll put a shirt on you
Well, that's
for all
what
the other
happened
shots.
in The Wolverine, right? His topless
Yes.
scene in that was
Yeah.
like he was suffering through migraines in an action scene.
Because he hadn't had any water in like 2 days.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it means that your skin gets really tight, your veins show through. It looks really great on film, but he said he passed out like right after they finished filming.
Sure.
He passed out, and then he was in like almost on the verge of like having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like it's really not healthy. Like
No.
they're really pushing like the male gaze a lot, and it's not healthy. Mentally, it's also really not good for you because
Sure.
you're immensely cranky all day long. I've done it
Yeah.
before. You feel like complete shit
absolutely.
all goddamn day. You feel like absolute shit. And when you finally come off of it and you start drinking and eating again, you start binging.
Oh, sure.
Oh, like I the moment I stopped, I started like drinking water and eating again after I purging all the not purging, but start starving and dehydrating myself. When I'd come back from it, I would eat everything and I would drink like 4 gallons of water.
Right.
But then you get bloated. It's like
absolutely.
you balloon back up. It's
Right.
it's just how the human body works.
Bodies are meant to hold water, guys.
They're meant to hold water, but not that much water.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm just.
that's why you can go a long time without eating, but you can't go more than 3 days without drinking water.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned for these actors. Hugh Jackman specifically, who's in his 50s now.
Yeah. Well, he's not doing
Yeah.
movies like this anymore. Logan was the last one, and he was in good shape in that film, but you could see like his body took a toll. Like you
Yeah.
can see, he doesn't have abs in that movie. He has a gut.
Mm-hmm.
He is in his 50s. He is not
Right.
able to have 6-pack abs anymore because he's too old.
Did they have a
He
body
passed-
double for his double in that movie then?
You seen there's a special feature. It's on the DVD about the Blu-ray about how they digitally replace his face in
Yeah.
the driving scenes. But him the limousine, that's not him. That is actually digital facial replacement. He was never driving that limo.
Whoa!
That it looks, you couldn't even tell, could you?
Couldn't.
Nope. That's the best visual effects. You can't even see them. Yeah, that's mostly just a double.
Wild.
Because they just didn't want to put their actor at risk because he's over 50. He's not capable of doing that shit anymore.
So, Guardians of the Galaxy via X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
doing
Alpha
Alpha
Flight in Russia, period piece, Cold War. The team has to go track down the scientist who made all the Weapon X's and eventually made
So essentially he's defected.
Omega Red.
He's defected to the Soviet Union, I guess you could say.
Yes. Defected or stolen. I guess that part doesn't really matter. He's usually a what's the word? Like malevolent figure, and almost like mad scientist. So I could see him, you could say someone like Stryker or some halfway decent force in the like Canadian government pushed him out, and then he went to the Soviet Union. But I don't think that's super important. I guess you could almost say he's kind of like Arnim Zola in Winter Soldier, where
yeah.
he just kind of was absorbed into that government for some reason. But
I'd actually enjoy seeing the version of the films where Stryker switches from like Captain America adjacent to leading Weapon X
Yeah.
in some form.
Starts out as being like all about true justice in the American way. It starts being about the ends justify the means.
Right.
Yeah.
right
that's a cool
before his son
switchover.
is born, he's just kind of a normal guy, and then this experience really turns him against mutant kind and mutanity as a species.
Those kind of like emotional splits of like, I would have aborted my son had I known he was a mutant.
Yeah.
But now that he's alive, I love him. Except for I hate everything about him
Yeah.
because he's a mutant.
Reminds me of X-Men too when they're like, well, there's Bobby's family saying to him like, couldn't you just not be a mutant?
Yeah,
It's like a parent saying to their child, well, couldn't you just not be gay? It's
Right.
like, it doesn't work like that.
That was very on the nose in the first
It's a little
few.
on the nose. It's a little, there's some jank dialogue in that movie.
Sure. It's the delivery's kind of perfect though.
Could you
Yeah.
not be a mutant?
Couldn't you just not?
Could you not?
Yes, I'll turn off my ice powers. I'm normal again.
yeah.
Which again is why Nightcrawler is so important to that movie.
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
he can't.
Yeah.
You have Mystique as the she can.
everybody else passes for human.
Exactly.
Like Nightcrawler can't. Like the thing. Like why is everyone so freaked out that he has ice powers? Like why are you
Right.
freaked out about this? I've never
Right.
quite understood like the whole anti-mutant thing unless it's like they look weird.
So
That I can understand, but like Iceman is like he can create ice. That's actually really useful. Oh, we
Yeah.
need water in a foreign nation. Go over there, melt the ice. There you go. You have water.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
done. Like what's the problem? Like it's
I think X-Men 1 does a good job of setting that table, because the first scene in the movie is the Magneto origin, which is great, but kind of its
Sure.
own thing. But then the next scene is Senator Kelly holding up like the dossier of all the mutants and being like, this one can walk through walls. What's stopping her from walking through a bank or into your own house? And like it's
Right.
a kind of metaphor for even before, like it's a pre 9/11 kind of like 9/11. Oh, everything's coming to get you. Like you gotta
Right.
give up these people's freedom. So I think like there's enough.
It's McCarthyism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
there's
very-
enough
it's
fear mongering that
McCarthyism.
some of these guys are bad, and kind of Magneto, in
Proves
X1
it.
proves the rule that I guess enough you could just be like, yeah, people don't like mutants, and yeah, and Bobby even being a good mutant is not even a good mutant, but like a mutant like you were saying that has like a helpful power is enough of a turnoff that you would hate all mutants.
I think that's why body horror is so important to this series. If
Yeah.
you introduce like, hey, you turn 11, 12, 13, when you go into puberty, your powers just start going off.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
you can't stop it. That, like, if Bobby Drake accidentally froze a family member and like their arm shattered into ice pieces,
Right.
Yeah.
and like he mutilated one of his family members,
Yeah.
and then he's 13 and has to deal with that. Hell yeah. Quarantine all the mutants.
Exactly.
It starts to make sense.
But if it's like, oh, they have direct control of their powers and they never go off at any point,
right.
like then what's the problem?
And that's why Rogue
Well,
is so
then-
cool in the first one.
Yeah,
'cause-
Rogue.
yes.
Her power kills people.
Right.
There's a problem
And-
there.
And I believe in the original movie, in X-Men 1 was supposed to start or have a flashback to Cyclops getting his powers, which got bumped to Apocalypse, where he's at a football game or something, and then he
He's
goes into
at
the bathroom. And
It was at his high school dance, and he sees
That's
his
what it is,
girlfriend
yes.
dancing with someone else, and then he freaks out, goes to the bathroom, and starts getting pissed, and then his powers activate, and he blows a hole into the women's
Right.
bathroom.
And they've done that scene twice in these movies. They did it in Apocalypse. He's in class,
Yeah.
runs to the
Yeah.
bathroom, and doesn't destroy the door that he shoots through.
Yeah, and then they do the same thing in Origins. It's like it's
Right.
literally the same goddamn scene.
I thought was cooler in Origins because he blows the skull in half.
Yeah.
He just like
Yeah.
wow through the skull. That was, hey, if you're gonna do it right.
yeah,
Yeah, there's just a lot of repeated Cyclops scenes, which are like, yeah, they work, but the horror is disaster movie horror, and not I just blew my girlfriend's top half of her head off
Yeah.
because my eyes turned on when I kissed her for the first time.
oh god, that'd be a terrifying thing.
Right?
Jesus Christ! Somebody
I mean,
write that.
it's tough. A lot of these movies just can't decide what the mutants' powers are. I think Cyclops is a good example. He switches from laser beams to concussive blasts all the time, just
Oh,
based off
yeah.
of what's kind of convenient for that
Sometimes
character.
isn't it like beams from like a parallel dimension or some shit like that?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like
His body channels them. Yep.
why the fuck? Just they're lasers. Who gives a shit?
Well, and even just put it to like the glasses are what allows him to focus it into lasers,
Yeah.
but otherwise they're just, kinetic energy.
Yeah. So does that mean like if like the spectrum red of the glasses is what stops the glasses from going off? Does that mean he has to sleep in a red room so he can take the glasses off?
Well, he has the visor, I think, on all the time.
Well, he
in
can't
the
sleep in
comics.
that. It's
No,
like-
he
Does have the visor.
in X2 he puts the visor on after there's the dream sequence with Rogue where she stabs. Or excuse me, other way around. Wolverine has a dream sequence and stabs Rogue.
Yeah.
He puts on his visor from sleep.
Huh.
He
Yeah, I guess
he
he
takes it
doesn't-
off when he goes to bed. He just keeps his eyes closed, I guess.
Maybe Jean
He did-
uses her mind to like keep him asleep or something. I don't know. 'Cause,
Again,
yeah, that
you-
does seem like it's pretty.
You keep-
Questions
pretty
that we don't have
haphazard.
answers to.
right.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
because we've never spent enough time with Cyclops to make his character work in any of these movies, even
Yeah,
though
sure.
To say he has a
he's
character
so
in these
important.
movies is so much of a stretch.
Right. When
Yeah.
and he's supposed to be such a badass too. He's got like
he's great.
Yeah.
He should be a very fun character, and yeah, they
He's
can't.
not.
I think Whedon wrote him really well in Astonishing X-Men.
Yeah.
I think that's a version of the character that works.
I love the last storyline. He gets thrown out in an airlock and he dies, and he gets taken on the alien ship, and they wake him back up. They revive him, and he's like, "Oh, that's what that's like." He learns what
Yeah.
death is. It's like, oh, it's just black.
damn.
It's like it's because Whedon's an atheist. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's just black. There's nothing.
wow.
Your
I think
consciousness just goes
his-
into nothingness."
His introduction in that series is him like, I want to say like, someone is driving to the X Mansion and he's like flying the Blackbird upside down and he like waves at him. I think I'm
Something
trying to
like
remember.
that. It's something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
like
he's
cool
just-
moments. It kind of peters out as the series goes on.
He's fucking
Yeah.
Tom Cruise in Top Gun.
Pretty much.
That's the best version
He's
of his
the
character.
Maverick of the group.
Write
yeah.
it like that. Literally
Yep.
write a topless volleyball scene into
Oh, they've got that.
Well,
They've got that.
Wolverine versus Cyclops topless volleyball. There you go. That's
Trying
that's
to
your
impress
male
Gene.
gaze.
Trying
Yeah,
to
Marvel
impress Gene.
swimsuit issue in real life.
Right.
That's
There you go.
yeah.
So okay, your pitch. I mean, I love your pitch. Alpha Flight. Literally, Alpha Flight, what's the Excalibur? Anytime you do the weird offshoot
Oh,
teams,
yeah.
I'm going to say yes, just because I want to. Guy Ritchie's Excalibur, I'm on board.
X Factor.
Nah, that'd be great.
Get X Factor in there somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I love these spin-off teams. I want to know, and the finale. How do you end this movie? Because as we established, the ending of Origins is dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No
true.
3 Mile Island, please.
Yeah. So how do you want to end an Alpha Flight movie
We
with
gotta pick-
Omega Red as the
Main villain.
main villain
We gotta-
/ tank?
We need a good location. We're setting
Yeah.
this in the Soviet Union, right?
But it can't be Chernobyl. That's too on the nose.
That's 2 on the nose. We're not doing that.
Although
He causes the meltdown.
Wolverine having to fight near the elephant's foot and his body like melting off and
Oh,
rehealing.
God.
Oh.
If you're gonna go R-rated, that's kind of cool.
Okay.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Where would you set it? I mean, you could bring it back to like Canada. Have Omega Red. Yeah.
So
I don't
you
know
mentioned-
where.
That's
You mentioned earlier this might be one of 2 prequels too, so it can
Right.
end off where you want to start the next one as well. I would assume the next one would end in Canada.
Yeah, let's look up some Russian landmarks.
There you
I don't
go.
want it to be at the Kremlin or anything, like in the Red Square.
Nah, that's too obvious.
Yeah.
The
It's a good question.
I'm
Well, what nations were under control of the Soviet Union at that time? We have we have
Ukraine,
Ukraine. I think Turkey was
Oh,
under
yeah.
control,
Turkey,
which means
Czechoslovakia,
you have Budapest in there. I think.
Budapest. Ooh, Budapest.
Yeah, maybe set in Budapest.
Oh, you could do a really like secretive tie-in to Hawkeye and Black Widow.
There you go. They're in the back.
That's true.
They're there to stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but
It's not bad. Because I
what
don't
else?
want
Yeah,
to. I wouldn't want to
Czechoslovakia.
set it in like underground death bunker like all the rest of these.
yeah,
you know
just
what that is.
nondescript military location. Let's not do that.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna mention another show from the '90s. There's an episode of MacGyver where he goes to
Oh.
break a woman out of a psychiatric hospital that is set in, I want to say, Czechoslovakia, and it's these like big open fields with like flowing grain.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful setting. I wish I knew the name of the episode. He uses nitroglycerin pills for heart attacks to blow a door open. It's kind of awesome.
I don't think that works like that, but okay.
He found a way. Also, if you don't know what
course he did.
MacGyver is,
Go back to the 1980s. Look it up. Fun show.
Or didn't they do a reboot with Havoc
Yeah, it's
from these
terrible.
movies, and that's why he wasn't allowed to be in them?
terrible. It's
Yeah, I-
terrible. I think it's on CBS All Access now.
yeah,
I think that's right, yeah.
also why his hair had to look like that in X-Men Apocalypse.
That's
Yes.
right, because they were filming at the same time.
Even
which
though it
kind of
fits super well,
It
I
does.
liked it.
Yes,
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, MacGyver was a show about this guy who doesn't use guns. Angus MacGyver. That's right. That's his first name.
Works for the Eagle Foundation, I believe it's
Yep.
called. Yep.
With, and then the pilot that is definitely not just a ripoff of Launchpad McQuack.
Nah.
it is. Oh,
he solves mysteries and deters crimes by making inventions with just random objects sitting
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
If you ever hear somebody say MacGyver it, they mean just use
make whatever you can out of whatever you have.
chewing gum and bobby pins
Yeah.
to do a
Yeah.
bomb or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Fixes a car engine, I think, with like a sock or something like that. Some
An egg. He drops an egg
That's
into
right.
a radiator
That's right.
and cooks it to.
Oh, wow.
That doesn't work like that.
Nope, but it was
Nope.
the 80s and
It
they
was-
weren't questioning anything.
Doesn't matter.
Richard
Yeah.
Dean Anderson. That's it from Stargate.
Stargate SG-1.
SG-1.
Yeah.
And Atlantis at one point. I think there was
I
a
think
crossover.
you crossover for a little bit.
Which is also how we got Jason Momoa.
Oh, yeah. Isn't his character supposed to be the Kurt Russell character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
What a
fun.
weird rabbit hole. I enjoy those.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Can we make Richard Dean Anderson the evil scientist in your film?
He could be. I always think. See, the problem with
retired.
Evil Scientist is Richard E. Grant was the one in Logan, and he's like kind of what I imagined for that guy. And I don't
great.
think that was that character, but it's more or less that character.
Sure.
Just like mad scientist who's old and weird.
He had like 2 scenes, but he still kind of stole the show. He's such a good
True,
actor.
Yeah, he's fun in that movie. He doesn't get nearly enough credit. And
He had
it's tough to
one
like
scene in
imagine.
Rise of Skywalker.
Oh man, I liked his. You guys saw his interview afterwards, where he was like, "It's the greatest movie I've ever seen. You see things
Right.
you know. Wow."
You
So
weren't
funny.
paid. You weren't paid to say that. Sure.
Yeah. Like my vision for this, honestly, it's too informed by the whatchamacallit First Class, because they have the fight on the battleships, and there's like fun stuff you could do with like military equipment, and like Deadpool has its fight with the abandoned helicarrier in Deadpool 1. So I think it would kind of have to be related to that, because it would be no fun if it was like in the tundra. But also, I don't know what the Russian Statue of Liberty is, or what's the other one? Alcatraz.
What was the?
Yeah.
There's some kind of place where they have all the old statues of Stalin. What the hell is it?
Ooh.
They know. I mean, GoldenEye. They go to it.
Yeah.
In the movie GoldenEye, they go to a place where all
yeah.
the statues have been torn down after the fall of the Soviet Union.
It might
But
just
this
be
is
called
during the time the
Statue
Soviet Union is still
Park.
around, so they wouldn't be there. Fuck.
Sure.
Shit.
I was gonna say Berlin Wall would be cool. It's close enough that you could find a reason to get there.
That's true.
The divide
You
between
get East
political
Germany.
allegiances. Yeah, they already did in Suspiria.
Yeah,
The remake of Suspiria is like the divide between allegiances. It's like, I get it.
Oh, really? I haven't watched that.
It's
because-
fucking great.
Oh,
It's
man.
long as
It's-
fuck, but it's really good.
It's very long. Tilda Swinton deserves Oscars, and the end of that movie is just
Jesus
like,
Christ. Oh, God.
whoa,
Wow, I did not see that coming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Won't ruin it for you. Worth the watch, though.
No
So,
good
yeah, there
remakes.
is-
Bullshit. This is a great one.
It's Statue Park is the name of the place.
That's it,
I don't
Statue
think
Park.
it's real.
It's not.
but
It's
it
not
is
real. All right. Fuck.
Something like that. I don't know. You could definitely make it.
Yeah, we can invent something.
We need something of like the idea of like allegiances between your allegiance to your nation or your allegiance to your team.
Ooh, you could maybe ape the X-Men 2 opening and do it at like a UN building.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's what it is. Omega Red is programmed by he tricks the Soviets to creating Omega Red because the United States wouldn't do it, and he eventually
Right.
programs into Omega Red to assassinate the premier of the Soviet Union, and the X-Force
Oh.
is sent in to stop them in order to stop the Cold War from turning into a hot war.
Interesting.
So then you could
Basically,
set
it's
it in
like
the Kremlin.
like a Tom Clancy novel. Like you make it a
Yeah.
political thriller with the X-Men.
and then they're using
kind
their
of like the beginning of Ghost Protocol or
Yes.
Rogue Nation. I forget
Yes,
which
the
one.
destruction
One
of the
them.
Kremlin. I mean, well, obviously, we're not going to blow up
Yeah.
the Kremlin, and we probably wouldn't even set it near the Kremlin or even Moscow. But that idea of
Right.
like he tricks the Soviets into making the weapon that will undo them.
as
Yeah,
long as
that
this
works.
doesn't turn into the action sequence from the beginning of Good Day to Die Hard, I'm very happy.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Haven't seen that one. As much
It's
as I love
bad.
the Die Hard
Don't
movies,
watch
somehow
it.
I missed it.
Don't
Yeah.
watch it.
You're buddies with Captain Midnight, right?
Yeah.
He rescued that one very shortly after you came on the show. The pitch is fun. It is very fun.
I should listen to that one. I have to watch that movie because I've seen all the other Die Hard movies, and I don't know if it's worse than 4, but I did not care for 4.
Oh, it's 100% worse than 4. 100%.
Oh, really?
Oh,
4 kind of sort of works as a movie, but 5 does not work as a movie.
Man, 4 has ideas. 4's got ideas for days,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have delivery.
Yeah, that's true. Timothy Olyphant's fun in it.
He really is.
Yeah, he's hamming it up. He knows
Yeah.
what he's in.
Yep.
Kevin
Exactly.
Smith is the worst
He's
part of
great
that
at
movie.
Warlock.
Yes.
Christ, that is like incel assholes that live in their mom's basement. Literally, he is an asshole that lives in his mom's basement.
Yeah. Ma, where are my Tostinos?
Was that a jab at Red Letter Media because of the Tostino's pizza rolls?
Maybe.
Or is that no? That's before. That's before Red Letter Media started doing their thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel
That's
like
before.
they
That's
turned
before.
it into a legitimately frightening character.
Yeah. He's
Can we
Mr.
take 1
Plinkett.
second?
Oh shit, he's Mr. Plinkett.
Oh man, that's
God.
terrifying. Can I
Yeah.
take 1 second to go to the bathroom real quick?
Oh, go for it.
One
Okay,
like
go.
tiny
Go
break.
ahead.
Sorry, I've been drinking a lot of water after we talked about how the human body is full of water. Drink water, 'cause it's mostly iced tea.
God. I was thinking about doing that in 6 months, doing a like, I lost this amount of weight. This is how I look normally, and then doing the whole like dehydration, starvation thing.
Yeah.
And then being like, and this is how you look after 3 days of hell, and that's why people the whole point of this project is to like show how unrealistic all this shit is, and
Yeah.
like just being healthy should be the goal and not looking like the fucking Wolverine.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not going to get there because I can't afford HGH.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Right.
You can if you ate a lot, but you have to eat like for like a whole year.
Yeah.
Like this is literally the same diet the entire year, and it's
Yeah.
like it's not healthy.
Yeah, I can't.
Not
do
even
that.
affordable.
Also, I can't even go to the gym anymore, so I have to work out with that shit.
Yeah, I moved all my stuff from the basement upstairs again, so
Yeah.
it's just like I'm working out in my room now. So.
I'm doing a lot of kettlebell stuff. I found a few guys on YouTube from like the Ukraine that do like intense kettlebell workouts, and all I have is that 35-pound fucker.
Oh shit!
Oh boy, I get about 20 minutes in, and I'm like, no, I'm done. All right,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I hurt now.
Yeah, but what was it? There's a channel I like called Buff Dudes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I like their stuff. They started doing like videos like, hey, you can work out at home. Just do this bodyweight stuff. It's like, hey, this is all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but moving all my stuff upstairs, it's like it feels good to just work out at home again.
Yeah.
You know, but it's still I do need to go back to the gym once they reopen. At some
Right.
point.
Well, it's like I can't do.
I
the-
guarantee we're pushing back our work on the Bloodshot film. That's not going to happen this year. That's not going to happen.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm sure we'll find other stuff to do, and it's gonna get. I feel like it's gonna reach a point where we're like, so we're probably safe. We can do things in our own time as things are open.
Yeah.
We might just switch to doing that because I'm not. If this shit lasts till like September,
We're fucked.
I'm not. Yeah, it's like, what am I gonna just not do anything for months?
Yeah.
I'm gonna find excuses. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'll shoot with one person at a time and piecemeal the film together if I have to.
It is what it is. I mean, do it Sin City style. Hey, you were kind of sort of here. We shot it against the green screen, then we
Right.
kind of slapped it together.
Exactly.
There's a movie that hasn't aged very well.
Man.
Everything's in focus. That would not look like that.
Right. Right.
Like if you say Brittany Murphy's in focus, wouldn't Bruce Willis be out of focus?
Sure.
It looks like a video game.
A little bit.
It's like a Michael Bay movie.
Ugh.
Super flat and ugly. I know you guys did Transformers last week.
He broke me. He just.
And you tried to fix Six Underground and you gave up.
He's.
Oh yeah, I've never watched that. Is it?
It's fucking
obviously some-
awful.
Yeah.
I couldn't even finish. I think I got like 20 minutes and I was like, nope, I give up.
Oh man, it's just.
The editing is awful.
Oh, it's not, and it's not just. It's not
It's
just
flashy for no reason.
It's not just the. Like the scene or within a scene, the functional editing is bad.
Yeah.
Because it's so much, but the scene-to-scene editing is horrendous.
Yeah.
And if all of your editing is bad, your movie's bad.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
There are the two types of editing that's talked about by Folding Ideas. Dan Olsen, he says like there's scene-to-scene editing, which is just like what cuts are used, how things form together to make the scene work.
Right.
And then there's the what was it called, the overall structural editing, where the pacing of the film itself, like how the scenes work in tandem with each other,
Right.
to make like the 3-act structure or whatever, what have
Exactly.
you. Like when all of it doesn't work, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there's no structure and there's no scenes, well, you don't have a movie. There's no movie.
It's so from what I've learned as I've turned into an editor, your functional editing is if you took this scene in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
Is the cup here and now it's there? Is it freaking you the fuck out as you watch it? That's your functional editing. And then you have your plot editing, which is the things you remember from that last scene. Do they carry over into this scene?
Yes.
And is it making sense as they move across?
Yeah.
And Six Underground has neither.
Yeah. it's a train wreck. It's an absolute train wreck.
There's-
That's why it went to Netflix. Dump it on Netflix.
Yeah.
There's a shot in the first action scene, the chase scene,
Yeah.
where they mirrored it because of the way the buildings lined up. It looked
Oh,
like they were
yeah.
in another location, except for when you mirror a shot, your driver's on the other side of the car.
Yeah. That's a problem.
And they didn't change that.
That's awesome.
James
I
Franco
love
goes
it.
from first of all, it's an American car and they're in Italy.
Yeah.
Hey
Yeah.
guys, that's not how that works.
No.
But then he switches to the correct side for one shot where he's on the right side of the car and then switches back. And I was just like, oh, this is bad.
You should
That's
mirror the
amazing.
other shot as well. Like, do that. Like, fixed. Just that little thing.
Digitally replace the two actors.
The three phrases. Flop it, crop it, drop it. That's it. One of the three, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
It's bad. Don't watch 6 Underground.
Don't. It's bad.
Although
I won't.
Although, if I had to suggest something for you to fix on your show, not gonna lie,
It's like a 10-hour episode.
that might be a good
I
one.
would never.
You'd
yeah.
never even get out of the first 20 minutes, dude.
Oh no! Chronologically, the first 20 minutes is like the actual middle of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, God. It's a fucking train wreck. Because they knew the beginning
Right,
of the movie
because
was... It's told in flashback sequence. They knew the beginning of the movie was so boring, they just throw you right into the middle of the movie.
But there's
I've
no
seen that bit with the car chase and like the free running guy and the whole
the
team
Skywalker.
Yeah, that's Skywalker. That's right. Oh man, yeah.
It's the movie just breaks itself at every point it can. So the middle of the movie is technically the opening 10 or 20 minutes or whatever, except for they give flashbacks to all the other characters and then go to the main plot like an hour and a half in because it's a Michael Bay movie and it's 2.5 hours long. But like James Franco doesn't show up anywhere else. So if you put I tried to recut the movie chronologically. James Franco just shows up.
Yeah. It's not motivated.
He appears into the film if you do it chronologically.
He materializes, then he dematerializes.
Yeah. Well, he dies.
Huh.
Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
He gets like impaled, right, or something. It's kind of a
through his
exciting
fucking
death.
chest. Yeah, it's ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly they had a bunch of other stuff with him, and then they said, "Nah, it's too boring. Let's just put the action in there."
Yeah, he
Like it's missing it's all action, but there's no like scenes of people just sort of sitting around just like being people, because Michael Bay thinks that's boring.
Well, there's one
Right.
where they cut to two different flashbacks. When they're at the restaurant with Ryan Reynolds, they cut to two different flashbacks in that scene. Again, if you watch this movie chronologically, it makes next to no sense.
Yeah.
Just
I'm not surprised.
he recruits the team except for James Franco because there's no recruitment scene for him. Then they go to Italy to get the eyeball, which they use way later in the movie, in the actual movie. Chronologically, they use it like in the next scene, but James Franco just appears and then dies, and then they're sad. So if it cut chronologically, this movie is like you can't even connect to anything.
Yeah.
You go, who's this guy? Oh, he died. Why am I sad? It's a mess.
Yeah. Speaking of a mess, X-Men Origins.
Speaking of a mess,
Where
was-
were we? We were
Figuring out our finale.
so
yeah, big final fight.
So
scene.
big final fight. Omega Red possibly assassinating political figure in the Soviet Union as a trick by the United States.
Actually, let's rewind. It should start off with Omega Red killing a leader in the world, like a world leader. Like set your stakes.
Doesn't Omega Red make an appearance in Deadpool 2? He's like in the prison.
He was going to, but they didn't.
They
were-
cut that. That's
there's
right.
concept art of him, but yeah,
That's
you
right.
can, you can see.
There's they actually. I
Yeah.
think he is in the background or something like that. But it's not. He doesn't have like his suit. So it's like there is like a video on YouTube where they show like all the different mutants they had in the prison.
Yeah.
Omega Red is
Yeah.
in there. He is in there, but he's not like in the fight scene or anything. He's just
Oh,
he's
yeah,
a
so there's
background
a-
character. He's
There's a
background
guy
character.
with the Omega tattoo on his face, and
Yeah.
that's as close as you get. But they also had like concept art of him with the whips and the whole suit, and it looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Missed
didn't make it,
opportunity because
Yep.
they wanted the Juggernaut.
Man.
Yeah,
That whole movie's a missed opportunity. It's
Yeah, it
fine.
really
It's
is.
barely functional as a movie, but it's fine.
The thing that bugs me the most is
It's supposed to be a comedy, and it's not funny.
well, basically the dubstep joke.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's like
That it wasn't even funny like in context to the film when it came out.
dubstep's not funny.
Dubstep was already dead.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I guess it came back in the future or something. But the joke
Yeah.
just it's one of those like
And then they start playing Skrillex.
yeah. It's like you didn't run this by anybody.
What song is playing? What is it?
Oh,
Bangarang.
Is it
Bangarang.
Bangarang?
Yeah.
It's Bangarang.
Yeah, it is.
well, it's the only recognizable one of his. I used to run to his
Embarrassed
music
for it,
all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I thought it was Flying Spaghetti Monster for a second. Then I was like, no, it's not. It's Bangarang.
No, yeah, it like that joke in and of itself. I was like, did you not run this script by like someone who would know?
I think.
Yeah, like a
It's-
child or something.
By the way, what is with David Leitch in films that look like they're just directed as if they're the colors of asphalt? All of his movies look like asphalt.
Blue, black, and gray.
Blue, black, and gray is all that exists. Like, and then, like you look at like the divergence between Chad Stahelski and David Leitch.
Oh yeah,
Chad Stahelski, like he went fucking neon with those John Wick movies. You look at
Love
David
it.
Leitch, it's like you have Hobbs and Shaw, Atomic Blonde, and Deadpool 2. It's like it's just ugly. I like Atomic Blonde. I think it's a fine film. It's not great, but it's fine. But then you look at like Hobbs and Shaw is boring as fuck and it's ugly, and Deadpool 2 is boring as fuck and it's ugly.
yeah.
It's like there's a
Yeah.
clear divergence as to what they want. And I feel like David Leitch directed most of the first John Wick.
Sure,
Because you just look at it, it's like the first film is very concrete colored.
absolutely.
It's a good film, though.
He literally destroys
It works for that.
concrete.
It works for that film.
Yeah,
In that context, it works. A superhero film, don't make it look like that. Fun, colorful, over the top. Unless you're trying to make a dark, dour, depressing film like Logan, don't use asphalt as your color palette.
Speaking of color palettes,
Yes.
Alpha Flight is what I'm going to call your pitch now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it would be.
I-
X-Men Wolverine Alpha Flight or something.
I don't know if this is maybe just
Wolverine and the Alpha Flight.
There you go.
Or Alpha Flight Wolverine.
I don't know.
Yeah, Wolverine and the Alpha Flight's not bad.
I don't know.
It's
if
not Wolverine and the X-Men, it's Wolverine and the Alpha Flight.
this might just be a running joke I do with just specifically you, Nando, but I might clickbait this title and be like, "We deleted X-Men Origins from."
No, yeah.
That's the thing. It's like
From
the,
the Fox
the
universe.
entirety of the movie doesn't work. Like the movie doesn't work
Yeah.
because it breaks itself by saying like, oh, well, they needed his DNA to make the Deadpool.
Right.
But then why do you need the Deadpool in the first place? To do what?
and
To do what? To do
and it's
evil
all,
shit?
It's all pretty much just to like, I don't know, do backflips.
to be Omega Red.
So Stryker hates mutants,
Yeah.
but he's going to make another mutant in order to hunt down other mutants, I guess?
Sure. One he can
I guess
control.
that's kind of what he does with Lady Deathstrike, but at least with Lady Deathstrike, it's like,
Yeah,
let's just have one
it's
who can be
literally-
my bodyguard.
Yeah, and it's literally the same plot as X-Men 2,
Yeah.
just done in a shitty way.
Right.
With a bunch of fan service shoved in, and it's not even the right version of fan service.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
the way to end Alpha Flight is Wolverine going into the ice. Have him get just like
Oh,
deactivated.
Captain
Yes,
America.
like Captain America
Yeah.
him, have him sacrifice himself to take out Omega Red. Omega Red gets like, I don't know, maybe we have this fight in the Arctic or something like that, in the Bering Sea.
Yep.
And the Rock punches a
No, yeah.
God damn it.
Pushes the missile over at the guys. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
this punches a submarine missile. I love it.
You
What
could
are
do
those
it,
called?
man.
There's a name for that. Torpedo. Punches
Yeah,
a torpedo.
yeah.
yeah.
But you have like them fighting in the ocean, and then like Wolverine gets frozen into like an iceberg or something like that, and then Omega Red gets sucked down to the bottom of the Arctic.
I guess I'm going more for the like Alpha Flight decides Wolverine's too much of a
loose cannon.
risk, and they like literally just put him into a
Cryogenically freeze him.
suspension thing.
Oh.
And then
See,
you're
that's tough because by the end they have to like each other, kind of. Like they can't be like, you know what? Screw this guy.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know how you could. I mean, I could.
because we're
think
not
the-
getting to the point where he has
government-
amnesia. We're
Right.
not getting to that point.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, you could say just he got it at some point between the two movies and keep it kind of vague. I don't remember what excuse he gives in X1 for why he can't remember things.
No, it's implied that the Weapon X, the injection of the adamantium,
Right.
like it really
Oh,
fucked him up.
It was
That-
too
that-
stressful.
It was too stressful. That's why he has nightmares. That's the reason as to why
Right.
he got his
Right.
memory lost.
Right.
Like it's a weak excuse, but it's something that give him some mystery.
Also, in X-Men 1, he pretends like he does remember things. Like, he doesn't want people to know he's got amnesia.
Yeah,
Until Professor X kind of like
Yeah.
pulls it out of his psyche.
yeah.
That's true.
Some of these movies are good.
Or at least have
Yeah.
good elements in them. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you didn't really need an origin for Wolverine. He's more interesting when you don't know everything.
Oh man! Speaking of rewatching the first one, the first experiment with the machine to turn humans into mutants.
Oh yeah,
No,
That scene holds the fuck up. It's really cool.
yeah.
It is like
When they turn Kelly into like Aquaman or the Submariner by accident.
Blob Man.
He's oh god. But this does that kill him? Does that like
No.
But
It does. Well, he
well,
liquefies
eventually
afterwards.
he dies. But yeah.
Are you sure you saw what you saw? And then Storm's like, I don't know, maybe he isn't dead. He could just be water. They could have been like, maybe
That's
we'll
what I'm saying.
bring him
Like
back
he
in
could
the
come back
future.
and like rematerialize or something like that.
Well, yeah, he just kind of like
liquefies.
blah, 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 off the table.
Yeah.
He could like reform later. There's got to be villains like that too in the Marvel universe,
Like a T-1000 type.
Oh,
yeah, there
He's
you go.
T-1000, but he's made out of water.
There's an X-Man for everything.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, they have made so many side characters that I'm sure you could go back into a book and pluck out someone named, like, because it's always, like, a cool, edgy version of a thing. So, like, Undertow or something. And there's some guy
Ooh, there
from
you
some
go.
single issue, and then there he is, and he's Waterman, basically.
Undertow, not a bad villain name for a water villain. You're
Yeah, I wanted to say Riptide, but that guy exists. And I was like, I was going through obscure mutants just to like see when they showed up. Like I was trying to find a good timeline of when mutants first appeared, and somebody on Comic Vine, man, the Lord's work went through about to the 90s, and some of the mutants they picked out are just insane. Like motorcycle guys, there's a whole team of them. It's bad.
Ghost
Those are
Rider?
bad mutants. Oh man.
Do you guys remember
It's so weird.
when the Red Hulk got the symbiote and the powers of Ghost Rider?
Oh god.
Yes, I remember. What was that book called? I had that
Thunderbolts?
one.
Wasn't it? Not a Thunderbolts.
No,
It was like
it was a crossover.
magical, evil Thunderbolts or something. Maybe it was Thunder. I don't think it was.
Dark
I
Avengers?
think it had its own name. It was like Hell Club.
Hellfire
'Cause it
Club.
was.
Hellfire Club?
Yeah. Well, no, what was it? God damn it, that was a
forget.
fun one.
I remember
It was
the
red-
image and being like, this is written by a 13-year-old.
Yeah. They completely
was-
Super Saiyan the Red Hulk.
But Super Saiyans can go God
Circle-
mode blue.
It was
blue
Circle
hair.
of Four.
There
That
you
was
go.
the name of this book. Yeah, and it was those three and X-23.
Right.
Boy.
Agent Venom instead of regular Venom, but yeah, Agent Venom, Ghost Rider, Red Hulk, and in X-23, and then they like Mephisto opened a portal to hell or something, and I remember Damian Hellstrom and Doctor Strange had to like keep it at bay. Yeah,
Right.
that was a fun one.
They might as
Oh,
well just
man.
give him Thor's hammer at that point. Like, just
Yeah.
go OP.
Yeah.
Just do it.
You can't lift it? Oh, I'm pretty sure he can.
Right. The Hulk pushes down
Yeah,
the
one of you's
world
probably able to lift
to
it.
lift the hammer.
Chuck Norris rules. Like, he doesn't push himself up. He pushes the world down.
Right.
Yeah,
That would comics are
Oh,
goofy,
yeah.
guys.
But anyways, like, ending
Yeah.
this movie, like, how do we end it? Like, who we fight in some major landmark? It's Wolverine or the entire Alpha Flight versus Omega Red. Do they have, like, some kind of
Yeah.
personal connection? They have to have some kind of
To
personal
Omega
connection. They have
Red?
to have. It has to be a conflict. It can't just be a fight.
Omega Red should be an ex-Alpha Flight member that got pulled into the
Yeah.
Omega program.
Or like there was a divergence between the Weapon X people that lead the team. There's like
Right.
4 or 5 different scientists. Omega Red is the only one that goes with him. Like that could be
Right.
the situation.
Oh, father-son dynamic. How
Or
about
father-son dynamics.
that?
Something like that.
Mhm.
You need a
That
personal
works.
dynamic with this situation. It can't just be like, oh, there's just a team hunting down this guy.
right?
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and you could give the Alpha Flight characters who aren't fighting, because you could put them right in the middle between some sort of like, Secret Service trying to protect this guy from the bad mutant guy, and then the bad mutant guy trying to kill the Secret Service guys, and then this, like world leader. And both of those teams are trying to fight the Alpha Flight team, so you're kind of giving everybody something to do,
Sure.
as opposed to just 7 guys versus one dude with whips. Because Omega Red on his feet isn't that great.
Yeah.
But I think you could probably
Whiplash
throw
Iron Man 2.
pretty much. Yeah,
They're basically
he's
the
essentially
same
that
character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just with different skin color.
If they're both
But
coming
yeah,
from
and
Russia,
he's-
you're bordering on parody.
Yeah.
Hey man, this
I mean,
would've
hell,
been
look at that
reversed.
Black Widow trailer. You got fat. Like, it's a parody of Captain America. It's, like, it's
Right.
what it is.
Oh, he's great.
Is that Red Guardian? What's his name?
Red Guardian.
It
yeah.
is,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
Red Guardian.
Yeah.
So
I love a good parody of Captain America.
So Guardian is Canada's Captain America, and Red Guardian
Yes.
is parody of the two
Yeah. And Captain
That's
Britain
right.
is the parody of Captain America.
in Excalibur.
in
Yep. Who else? There's U.S. Agent, who's like, what if Captain America, but the government? And, like,
yeah,
he-
it's
he
like
did
U.S.
whatever
agent.
they said.
U.S. agent's like the post World War II. Hey, what the fuck you looking at, motherfucker?
Right.
Yeah, it's like the
And
paranoid
then-
America.
And then there's what's his name? Well, there's a Nazi one who was a straight up Nazi, and then there was also, gosh, what is his name? The evil Captain America, who the government was like, Captain America's dead, so we'll just make a guy, give a crazy guy plastic surgery, and make him look like Captain
John
America.
Steele. John.
No. It's oh god, I've got it on the tip of my tongue. But he turned into a character called the Grand Director.
Wasn't that the character
his
from
name?
Jessica Jones?
William Burnsides.
Yeah, that's
So that
the
was
Jessica Jones
crazy.
character. The
That's
cop.
Oh no, that's
the
Nuke.
cop.
That's a different.
Isn't that the terrible
thinking-
version?
That's Simpson. So he's like Vietnam era Captain America,
Yeah.
right? And this guy is crazy 1950s Cap.
Okay.
Who is just like
okay.
Yeah, and then U.S. Agent I think showed up in the 80s or 90s.
Oh, that reminds
So
me.
every generation has
Yeah.
their own.
The
shitty
idea of
Captain
U.S.
America.
Agent was that Captain America's gone. We need a new version of Captain America.
right.
But then it's
Yeah,
like it's
and-
not. It's no longer the pre-World War II, truth, justice, American way attitude. It's the post-World War II, Cold War paranoia Captain
Right.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to sound like a parody, but I genuinely would love to see what the Trump version of Captain America
Oh,
is.
God, no. But we don't need to see a Klan rally in a comic,
But
dude.
play it satire.
Well, there was a MODOK version of Trump, right? There was a
Yes, there is.
They,
What?
yeah, they redid. I'll find it. I'll put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
find it.
It's pretty
It's
good.
yeah, they redid MODOK to look like Trump.
I mean,
I,
I
But-
mean, why not?
wait, doesn't MODOK stand for like murder or just?
he's a mental organism designed only for killing or computing or conquest, depending on
Right.
what you wanted to do with it. But he was MODAK, so 2 A's instead of the O.
Yeah.
And it was mental organism designed as America's king. And here, I'll find the picture. It's pretty fun.
Damn, there's no way they could have just done MAGA, like MODOK MAGA.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wish he had seen it. We don't know that he saw it, but this is alternate universe Gwen Stacy universe that they're
Oh,
MODOK.
I really,
So I'm putting it,
I love
put it
that.
in the chat.
I love that idea in comics.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's it's kind of hot.
It's a real guy. Yeah, they've done some good MODOKs. There's the Elvis one from Next Wave. There's Lady MODOK. They can't stop MODOKing.
Who's his son? He's got a like a humanoid actual son, doesn't
Oh,
he?
I did not know that.
Or maybe that's going to be specifically to the Patton Oswalt Hulu version.
I have no idea.
But it-
yeah, that's Ben Schwartz is going to be his human son in
that's
the
right.
cartoon.
That's right.
But
'Cause
yeah, it's just
I learned that watching Sonic the Hedgehog interviews.
oh, nice.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah. So Alpha Flight, I love it.
Alpha
I'm
Flight.
here for it. If the finale, okay, let's establish this. Is this rated R? Can we? Is this rated R?
I don't think you
I
need
don't
to
think
go
it
rated
needs to
R.
be.
I think you can go
Yeah.
like a good PG-13. Look, it's like a Tom Clancy movie at this point. The way we've set it up, like those are
Right,
usually
yeah.
PG-13. Like even Hunt for Red October, I think is a PG-13 film.
Correct,
Yeah.
because neither Alec Baldwin or
Sean Connery.
get to drop the F-bomb.
Yeah.
And I wanted them both to.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like Clear and Present Danger is PG-13. I think Patriot Games is PG-13. Like Some of All Fear is PG-13.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
I don't think they ever really go rated R with Tom Clancy stuff.
The reason I'm asking is because I want the Omega Red Wolverine fight to be like ouch. Like,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
guys are healing, but Jesus, why are you doing this to each other?
Yeah.
Right, and like ripping each other's skin off and stuff.
Exactly.
Because with the whips, you can really get away with some stuff.
It's like Passion of the Christ with satire.
Yeah,
The Passion of the Wolverine.
I mean, but really, right?
sure,
he gets
why
like
not?
double whips.
So Tom Clancy film by way of Passion of the Christ.
So Mel Gibson
Yeah.
is playing Omega Red.
Mel Gibson will be directing.
No,
Maybe Vindicator, because let's say Vindicator is the Captain America of this team, or Guardian. Sorry, he's. I know there's like Guardian, and then I think that role is taken over by his sister, and she becomes Vindicator or something. But that character and Wolverine could have like a Sabretooth Wolverine versus Deadpool moment here, where they both like team up and become bros.
Oh, sure.
And then you could kill Vindicator in this movie, and then have his sister take over in a future movie.
Yeah.
In kind of like a sacrificial, oh no, we finally do understand each other. I'm trying to figure out what her name is. Is that I don't know. There is a second one, and I don't remember who it is.
This is basically how the Superman episode went as well, where like Nando went deep into like a Superman rogues gallery.
Yeah.
It was
There's
awesome.
some good characters, man.
Yeah.
Everybody likes, if you know who Alpha Flight is, there's some good ones in there, and they never get their time to shine.
I mean,
Sure.
Okay,
no
so
one gave a shit about Guardians of the Galaxy before that movie.
That's true.
Those books were not selling.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yes, and so there's a character named Victoria, Heather Hudson, and she is the second Vindicator, and I believe she is James Hudson's wife or sister, who is the original Guardian. So yeah, you can have her show up in the second one, and maybe she hates Wolverine because her dad died or something,
Yeah.
or whoever died protecting him. But yeah, I think that dynamic is fun, and yeah, and I think Alpha Flight in general is fun.
I agree. I'm here for it. Wow, this was a long episode. Wasn't
Yeah.
expecting all that. Might
Oh
have
my
to cut a
gosh,
little bit
yeah.
out, but
The worse the movie, the longer the episode.
it's true.
5-star runtime, 5-star podcast.
Yeah.
That's what you say on Mostly Nitpicking.
What is
Right.
the shortest episode we've gone so far? Serenity?
No, actually, it was Thor: Dark World because I lost.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I
You lost half
lost
the episode.
back half of it.
Yeah.
The pitch
Oh,
ended up
no.
in there. And it was literally the back half is just Brandon and Michael talking about Final Fight,
Which then got made
which
into
then
its own
turned
episode.
into an episode. So
Yeah.
it was worth losing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this likely won't be the longest episode, especially after BVS comes out.
BVS is going to be like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up because we have to do
Oh,
it at like
nice.
11 o'clock at night because of Chris
Well,
and
Oh.
Bob.
yeah, in parts.
Yeah.
I will do an uncut version of this
For Patreon.
for Patreon.
Yeah.
Well, with the breaks included. We did go a little dark on one of the breaks.
Well, let's leave out the political stuff.
Let's leave out leave out the part where we become serial killers.
I'm going to
Oh my
fucking
gosh.
snap.
I'll cut that shit out, but I'll do an uncut version on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Montresor You can see the long one, and then I'll do the fun pitch version for everything else. Nando, one last time, where can the people find you?
You can find me on everywhere. If you just go to a thing and you search Nando V Movies, I don't think there's anything that would be a thing that I don't. I even think I have like a Vero account with that on it. Like I just made sure.
I made a Vero account just so I could contact Zack Snyder and send him the Man of Steel episode, just so I could say like, "Hey, I fixed your movie. You're welcome, asshole."
Exactly. In case Vero
Just to be-
takes
that's the
off
only
for
post
some
I've ever made.
reason, you don't want to not have one.
Right.
So I think all of that is there. Or I think if you go to just a thing like Instagram and look up Nando V Movies, it's that. And then Mostly Nitpicking. I think if you put that into Twitter, you'll find @NitpickingPod, which is just our Twitter because it's too long of a name to use there. Besides that, those are my things. Yeah, that's me. And I've got a video coming out soon on the X-Men Days of Future Past that I'm very excited about. And then another one, and then perhaps an April Fool's video that is one of my favorite things I've ever written. So hopefully
Not
I
really
get that
the best
guy out
time
in
to be doing
but-
April Fool's jokes, unfortunately.
Oh, well, as long as they're not, don't worry. Nobody gets any viruses or something.
What?
This is April Fool's. I think we should rename it to just like Internet Day.
Yeah.
The thing is, you go on the internet
Meme
and there's funny
day.
stuff on the internet.
What was-
yeah, pretty much.
You did an April
'cause
Fool's
that's-
video last year, right?
I did, and it was great. And it's that's also one of my favorite ones I've ever written. Where what if the Dark Knight but Kite Man? And this one is
Kite
I'm not
Man,
going to
hell
say it
yeah.
obviously, but it's some good stuff. Yeah, and then Kite Man has exploded. He is now on the wonderful Harley Quinn show.
Yeah.
I want Tom King to find that video, but I haven't sent it to him yet.
Do it.
But yeah, I love a good April Fool's video. So
Yeah.
Tom King's local too. He lives in Virginia.
Really?
Yeah, he's local. He used to
Oh,
work,
get
he used to
out.
work for the CIA.
Interesting.
He's a local.
That's
he's a local
right.
guy.
Yeah.
That's why he does
Sheriff
He's
of
a third eye
Babylon.
all the time. It's like a 30 to 40 minute drive for him.
I say send it to him. I say do it.
Oh, I think you'd love it. And this next one won't involve him, but I think people that watch my videos will understand why I'm so excited about this one. And yeah, it'll be fun.
To end. This is a small time director Seth pitch. I have this idea for a HBO/FX series called Bloodhaven that's centered around Nightwing. And
Yep.
my proof of concept that I've been writing for the last 6 months. We may shoot it later this year. It's a single scene, and it is Nightwing versus Condiment Man. But
Nah.
but here's the thing: it's not goofy ass Condiment Man. This is Nightwing versus a ex Special Forces established mercenary guy who just so happens to the fight happens in a diner, and he starts using ketchup and mustard and shit off the table as
Oh my
weapons. So it's because this all stemmed from Michael fucking Spielman going, "You can't do Condiment Man in a serious Batman movie," and I said, "Fuck you, yes you can."
Mm-hmm. Is he gonna grab a bottle of Frank's Red Hot and just dangle it over his face and just I put that shit on everything? It just zings it in his eyes.
He just
Oh,
he
yeah.
zaps it out the fucking bottle, so you get a squirt of it into Dick Grayson's eye, so he's half blind during the fight. I'm not kidding. This is a ugly Breaking Bad style show with very serious, very high stakes. These are all humans. There's no superpowers in this show.
Oof.
It's gonna get
Is he
gross.
is he wearing his underwear on the outside of his
No.
pants?
No.
Like the traditional Condiment King? Or, so, historically, Condiment King is one of the only villains that Batman has never defeated.
Right.
Because he walks up to Batman, trips, and then he's KO'd. So, it'd be great if he is also... If this one is hoisted by his own petard, as it were.
So,
but
I did want to include that.
Yeah.
My idea was that he gets away from the fight to come back up later. So this is I love the in joke of why is Condiment Man boss number 2 in this show? But it would work out in the there's an episode of Breaking Bad called 1 Minute where the DEA agent brother-in-law, I can't remember his name, Dean.
Michael or something?
No, it's
Wait,
played
I know
by
who you're
Dean
talking
Norris.
about.
Dean Norris is the
Hank?
actor.
Dean Norris is the actor. I can't. Oh god, what the fuck's his name?
Wait, is it
Uncle
Hank.
Or
Yeah,
am I
there you go.
imagining
Hank.
that?
So in that
Yeah.
episode, he fights off these two hitmen from the Mexican-
Salamanca brothers.
Salamanca brothers.
That's right.
And
in
they've
the
got
parking
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
They've got the guns and the axes, and this whole whole episode leads up to this really asshole clenching fight in the parking lot where he gets
Yeah.
paralyzed, and I'm like, that's your that's Bloodhaven.
Yeah.
It's that, but dark, or visually dark, lighting dark.
Yeah.
It's that are they gonna make it or not kind of thing. And I want Condiment King to be just weirdly keep popping up and be the guy that kicks his ass through the whole show. And that's the
Yeah.
proof of concept is the diner fight where you establish he's Condiment King because he's squirting the ketchup and mustard at his face. It's and kind of Jackie Chan. He's blocking it with his hands, and Nightwing's blocking it with his hands. He's in street clothes. He's not in a costume. This is a big meetup where he's trying to take down Blockbuster. Is going to be the overall villain.
Right, yeah.
He's the Lex Luthor. He's the real evil. It's a big sit down meeting between them, and then when he exits, Condiment King stays to like take him out, and it's like, no, this is a serious threat.
I need to see this.
It's
that just happens to be
that's
yeah, it like John Wick style. The final fight in John Wick 3, where the dude's like kind of his fan, but the
yeah.
But the
Oh,
fight
yeah.
goes into this just like, are these guys not dead yet?
Yeah.
Territory. That's what it's going to be. Like boiling coffee getting thrown, like punches that just land and break teeth. My heroes don't do well. in anything I've ever shot, my heroes don't do well because I love the struggle, the Indiana Jones of like, they get hit and they get taken down when they get hit.
Yeah.
I love that. That's my brand of hero. So that's my Bloodhaven show pitch versus Condiment King, and it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly.
It would be fun. I think canonically, Bloodhaven is pretty much where like Delaware is, or something like that.
Yeah. I think Gotham's
so-
supposed to be like New York, I think, in the books.
It's like New York-ish.
Gotham is actually in New Jersey.
Really?
Technically.
So is this why
Yes,
in BVS they have Gotham and Metropolis across the fucking river?
Yes, but no, because I think Metropolis is usually supposed to be
Chicago?
where DC is.
Oh.
It's like its own
Oh.
small island off the coast of something, and I think it's a little bit further down. Like, it's definitely not, if you look at like an actual map of DC stuff where they've kind of placed things, I think it's lower than Gotham. But in the movie, they just decided they were near
Yeah.
each other.
Which makes no
is like,
fucking sense. You can't
come
have a
on.
metropolis across the river from another metropolis. There's no
Yeah,
you-
and
in
why
the
isn't-
human history of civilization, there has never been two major cities across a river from each other. Economically, they impede on
Right.
each other.
Right.
So why would you have them there? Because we need to have like these two
Yes.
guys connect in some way.
Yeah.
We can't
So,
come up with a
okay, so I'm
scenario in which
looking-
they meet. Because we're bad writers.
I've looked this up. Bloodhaven is so Gotham is an island off the coast of
It's
New
an
Jersey.
island?
Bloodhaven is in Gotham is
Gotham's
yeah,
like a
Gotham
Manhattan
is
style island. Yeah.
Yes. And then Bloodhaven is inland New Jersey, so kind of like where like
Queens.
I don't know, Atlantic City
yeah.
is. And then Metropolis is in like Delaware, or almost Maryland, maybe. It's right around
Baltimore.
there.
It's
So,
Baltimore.
But yeah, actually, no, it's Delaware because it's Metropolis, Delaware. That's the city name. And then
Weird.
yeah,
I always assumed
No
that-
estate tax. That's why Lex Luthor lives there.
right.
yeah.
I always assumed
a very
Metropolis
good
was
point.
like Chicago-ish, real close to Kansas.
I think-
'Cause
I think-
Smallville is like
Yeah.
Right.
Kansas town, really close to Metropolis.
Isn't it fucking weird that in like
Well,
Batman
'cause-
Begins, like the city is so nondescript, and then in Dark Knight it looks like Chicago, and then in
Yeah.
then in Dark Knight Rises it looks like Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's like pick one, dude.
So the Kansas ones, Keystone City and Central City, are your Kansas City like analogs,
Right.
and those are obviously just where the Flashes live. But yeah, there's nothing else in the Midwest besides I don't know. That's pretty much
So
it.
Smallville kind of breaks it then, because Smallville makes it like if you go to Metropolis, you're going 15 miles away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
But now it's like, oh, they're across the country. It's okay. You couldn't have gone You couldn't have
they
gone
don't know
anywhere
what
else.
they're doing.
You had to go to Metropolis.
right.
I don't care.
Yeah.
This is why I just don't give a
It's
crap
fine.
about like locations.
This is
The-
Patreon content.
The only thing is like just don't put these two major cities next to each other. Just don't do that. That's just fucking stupid. It's just because we need to have these two characters meet up in Batman v Superman because they need to fight. Couldn't you create a scenario where like one visits the other city? Like I
Sure.
did in my scripts, like what just have them meet
Right.
because one person has to visit the other city.
right.
Just do that.
And they did it in cartoons. It's not an insane
And plus,
premise. Every so
Superman is
often
fucking
they hang out.
fast.
Yeah.
He can
Right.
fly anywhere, and Batman has a fucking Batwing. Like you can get these characters
Yeah.
to each other's cities very quickly. They're not taking public transportation. They can get there very quick.
That's Batman versus Batman Returns. Which is better?
I think that the visual style of Batman Returns is more interesting, but I think the first one's a better movie.
Okay, interesting. How about,
Yeah.
I think Batman Returns is a better movie.
I think it's a little too grim for me. A little too like, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but it's like it's just so nihilistic all the time. Like, it doesn't feel appropriate for that character. Even in Batman, it just doesn't feel appropriate.
Interesting.
Well, also, you have, like, the two villains of that story, Catwoman and Penguin, are just, like, they're so, like, just dour and grim, and just, they're not at all like their counterparts in the books.
That's interesting. I've always read the villains as Christopher Walken's character and Danny DeVito.
Right, Max Shrek.
Yeah, Shrek.
Yeah. Which is actually not even a character from the books. It's actually it's a reference to
It's a reference to the ogre from the forest.
There was a filmmaker named Max Shrek that Tim Burton admired, and so he took the character's name and just put it to that character.
Somebody once told me.
I mean,
the world.
Batman Forever is the best one out of the three or four of them, so it doesn't even matter. Love. I can watch Batman Forever on repeat for the rest of my life.
I've come so far around on the Schumacher films. I don't think they're like amazing filmmaking,
me too.
but I think they're really fun. I would
sure.
rather watch either Batman Forever or Batman and Robin before I'd watch the Nolan trilogy again.
I don't really have any interest in watching the Nolan trilogy again.
Agreed.
They do not hold up. Like I've said, realistic superheroes do not hold up. They don't. They make a statement about how fundamentally broken logic is when you try to take it realistic.
Right.
And that's why the Zack Snyderverse fell apart. You can't do realistic. It doesn't work. Not with those characters. Can't do it with that. You can do it with Kick-Ass because it's of the real world. You can't do it with...
Oh, that's the comedy comes out.
The comedy comes out when you try to do realistic, but when you try to be so grim and dour and realistic all the time, it makes people miserable, and then people start questioning because they're not connected to it.
When did the first Kick-Ass come out? 2005 or 6?
No, it was 2009, wasn't it?
Was it 9?
Yeah, and then like
it has to be. It can't be it, right? Because then that's 2 years until First Class. Maybe I want to say 2008.
I want to say it was a very quickly made film.
2010. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was on my list. My list for the decade. That's right.
So wait, when did First Class come out?
2011 or 12?
Is that a year later?
11 or 12?
I thought it was 11. That's wild.
It may have been a situation
Matthew
where
Vaughn.
they were already in pre-production on First Class, and then he got brought in very
2011.
quickly.
Yeah.
He was probably already
That
in
must be
pre-production.
it.
They were like, we have this idea for a prequel. Let's start production or get a script ready to go. And then
Yeah.
Matthew Vaughn came on board like midway through pre-production.
Sure.
That may have been the case.
Possible.
What I was going to say was the scene where Kick-Ass gets beat up for the first time. Just like the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Where he
Which
gets
is
his
way more egregious in the books.
Oh yeah, where he gets his quote unquote power of not being able to feel pain as bad, which as powers go is hilarious in the film. Does not work otherwise.
Yeah.
That's not how nerve endings
Yeah.
work. But sure, I'll forgive it. That scene actually shocked me in the film or in the theater. I was
Where
like,
he just gets stabbed. And it's
yeah,
just like, that's the end of that.
I was like, wait, he's my hero. He's about to do good things.
Yeah.
Why'd he get stabbed? Threw me for a loop.
Yep.
Love it.
It's a good movie. Yeah,
That
it
first
holds
was
up.
pretty good. Second one is
You've
fucking
seen where
dog
Nick
shit,
Cage
but
kills
that first
everybody in
one's
the
pretty good.
warehouse. Fun. Yeah, second one
Nick
sucks.
Cage fucking shooting Chloe. Fuck.
Chloe
what's her
Grace
name?
Moretz.
Chloe Grace
Moretz.
Moretz.
Just
Yeah.
shooting her in the chest. Just hold still, child. Boom.
And just falls over like a fucking sack of bricks.
Hilarious.
The entire audience
Mm-hmm.
burst out laughing in the theater when I saw that. Oh, it was brilliant.
That movie does hold up. You are correct.
That first one holds
great.
up. That second one is don't even watch it.
Ooh, the second one's ugly and mean.
Yeah, and it's just really well. Also, the second book is really mean. Second book is
the second book
incredibly
is
mean spirited, and it's like his dad gets arrested and he gets sent to prison in his place, and they murder his dad in prison. And
Jesus.
They see a photo of him like because when people die, like they hang him from the rafters in the prison. And he's like shit his pants because he's like dead bodies defecate when they die. It's just really cruel, really
Right.
mean spirited. It's like it just pounds on Dave Lazuski the entire time, and it's not fun. It's not enjoyable, and it's like I think like his girlfriend gets raped
By motherfucker.
Yep,
by
and they cut
motherfucker rapes
that
her. It's like
scene in
it's
the movie.
so fucking cruel, and it's like I really do not like Mark
it's not
Millar
a
at
good
all
book.
as a writer, and I think he's not a really nice person either. He seems like, he's really nice in interviews. He has an ego, and also he's even gone on record as like him and Todd McFarlane and another writer as well. Somebody asked them, like, why is rape so overused in comics? It's like, well, we need to motivate the main character to go get out there and do something. He's like, that's your excuse? You're an asshole. And it's like, God, like, he and Brian Michael Bendis fucking hate each other. And it's like, yeah, it's like he's not a good guy. He's not even a good writer
Yeah, it
either.
seems like-
He's always late. He never delivers on time. His books fucking suck. Like only like 3 of his books I actually enjoy. I like Wanted, despite the fact that it's you got a bad back half. It's got a good stuff in it, and I liked
Wanted's
American
fun.
Jesus, and I liked oh god, what the hell was it? Oh fuck, there was another book that Mark Millar wrote. I can't.
He wrote Huck. I enjoyed Huck.
It wasn't Huck. It was
Is it the one that's 9/11 hero guy? I forget what that one's
no,
called.
it's not that. It's
He wrote the one about the super. Oh, what's the other one? I don't know. I've read some. I mean, he wrote Kingsman, right?
yeah, I think
is that him?
Kingsman's okay. It's not great. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different from the film.
I think it seems like what's his name? It seems like Matthew Vaughn is good at reining in Mark Millar's worst instincts.
Yeah.
And turning it into a good version of that.
Like
movie.
Kingsman is like it's nothing. Like the movie is nothing like the book.
Sure.
The movie is nothing like the
Yes.
book. I mean, Mark Hamill is in the book as himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he dies in the end of the first issue because the Secret Service fucks up and he dies in a snowmobile accident.
Damn.
And then Mark Hamill shows up in the movie as like a professor. That's
Right.
like a
That
way
dies.
that dies by his head exploding. It's like it's a goofy way of getting that character back into the film.
Sure.
It's like I don't know. The book is not great.
Matthew Vaughn's relationship with that writer is like me as a person. I try to like see the good in people and be like, these are the good ideas in you, and I want to grab onto that and
Yeah.
see if I can excise some of the
It's
bullshit.
like I like your ideas, but I don't really need to grab a beer with you. You're good.
Right.
Yeah. I don't need to hang out.
So Mark Millar, we got a bunch of things here. Let's
Name
see.
something.
Civil War. How do we feel about
I
that?
like the road to Civil War. Everything else sucks.
You got Kingsman, Wanted, Superior. That's not bad.
Oh yeah, his
Superior?
his own version of Shazam.
oh,
It's
Shazam,
his
yeah.
it's literally his Shazam.
wow.
Yeah, the reporter in that has
there's something-
enormous fake tits. I'm not kidding. Like I remember it was Nemesis. What
Yeah,
would happen
isn't-
if Batman was the Joker?
evil Batman.
If like a guy with all that
Yes.
money decided to do horrible things rather than good things. Like it's not a good book. It looks ugly.
Who am I thinking of? The one that's the bad 9/11
Oh, that's
guy.
that's
There's one
that's
of those,
Frank
right?
Miller. He wrote he did
Oh!
a book called Holy Terror, which is supposed to be a Batman, but for his
Yes,
Batman versus Al
that's what I'm
Qaeda.
thinking of.
Holy Terror is
Yes,
is one of the
okay,
most
yeah.
racist comics ever made.
Did you mean the dream sequence from BVS?
Oh God, yeah.
God.
Zero Dark Batman.
Batman. God, hang him high,
Yeah,
Batman.
and he wrote,
That fucking duster.
Old Man Logan, maybe.
Oh,
too?
that's right. He wrote Old Man Logan.
I
Yeah,
think
Old
he
Man Logan's
did.
pretty good. Old
So
Man Logan's
that's-
pretty good.
It's hard to find. Yeah, Old Man Logan.
When he's working with licensed characters, he's okay. When he's working on his own shit, he's terrible.
I'm not gonna lie. The comparisons from Old Man Logan to Logan the movie,
Yeah, they're so general.
they infuriate me because
Yeah.
Old Man Logan is unfilmable.
Yeah, you can't do it.
He burst out of the Hulk's mutant son's stomach.
Yeah, because
at the end?
he got eaten. Yeah, and he intentionally did that so he could burst out of him and kill him.
Right, unfilmable, and Logan is nothing like that.
Yeah,
Logan has more in common with Clint Eastwood films.
yeah. It's more in common with
Yeah.
what's that game? The Last of Us. They even like James Mangold even comments on this. Like they said,
Yeah.
they had this video game called The Last of Us. Would you ever make a Last of Us movie? Well, I already did. It's called Logan. It's more in common with something like that, or Lone Wolf and Cub, or something like
There
that.
you
It's-
go.
Or like classic samurai
Oh.
films or westerns. It's not in any way like
Mark
book.
Miller also wrote Red Sun, which is great.
Oh yeah, Superman
which I
Red
love.
Sun.
Oh,
yeah.
that's communist Superman. Right?
Communist Superman. Yeah.
Yep.
They just did an animated film.
Superman 12 hours
Yeah.
earlier.
Isn't it like that animated film like R-rated?
I watched it.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
heard it's
bad.
okay. Yeah, Batman. That's an excuse
they
for
changed
Batman
a
to kill
couple
people.
things.
He does kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that Batman's
Batman's
wild.
in that?
Yeah, Batman is an agent for the
Yeah.
American government.
Oh, so literally the
Not
opposite
in the
of
book.
Yeah.
Or not in the movie.
not in the movie.
In the movie, he is a terrorist who hates the Russian government. But I believe he is an orphan. He is orphaned by the actions of Superman or something.
I know what I'm watching later.
And he just
you
wants.
go.
He's like, it's fun. Wonder Woman's there. The Green Lanterns are great. I like that. Actually, I enjoyed that movie.
What was
a lot.
the samurai Batman movie? Batman Ninja?
Yes, Batman.
Was
Ninja.
that any?
Haven't seen. Heard it's fine.
Okay,
There was also
I haven't heard amazing things.
what was the other one? Not the. Oh, it was Gotham by Gaslight,
Oh, that was
which
good.
was the hunting
Yeah.
down Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, that was good.
That was pretty good. A clever little side story.
That
Yeah, there's some fun stuff on the DC Universe app. If anybody,
I
has
do.
That. There's a good
I got
movies
it.
there.
I got it.
Yeah, and the Harley Quinn show is coming.
You got it
back
for Doom
soon.
Patrol.
I got it for Doom Patrol. Yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
they got Flex Mentallo in there.
There
He
are
flexes and gives the town an orgasm.
that show is wild, and there's like 21 episodes.
Yeah.
I
Is it
was-
still going, or did they cancel it?
They got one season. I don't think it's been picked up again though.
Yeah, it sucks.
Well,
Nobody knows if that app is going to be here in like.
Well,
a
no,
month,
they're
so.
moving everything over to HBO Max,
Right.
And then supposedly,
Yeah.
what I've heard is that the thing that's supposed to launch HBO Max is Snyder's cut of Justice League, because he is currently self-funding final edits of the film. He got the footage, and so he's If you have that fucking money to blow, you do you, boo. Like, you want to blow that money on a piece of shit, you go right ahead. They're filming new scenes.
if there's a single frame of Whedon's cut,
Oh my!
we riot.
I swear to God. You know, I don't care.
does-
You know what? I do care. I want it to get out there in the world just so all the Snyder fans will shut the fuck up.
Right.
I just want it out there so everyone just shuts up.
Well, that's not going to happen. They're going to watch it, and they're going to watch
It's
it.
the greatest thing ever.
It's going to be a mediocre film that they're going to. Okay. And
It is. The original cut of Justice League was 3.5 hours. That's longer than Avengers Endgame.
I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm very opposed to the term shill. I think it gets thrown around
Yeah.
haphazardly to talk about people who just like things.
Yeah.
However, unless the Snyder cut of Justice League is like Citizen Kane's level of good,
Yeah. People that defend it are shills.
that is shilling.
That
that
is
is
shilling.
actual what shilling is.
Yeah.
It's not. I like Spider-Man 3
Yeah.
because I like Sam Raimi, or I just want to like things.
But those
that's not shilling. That's just
Yeah.
people liking a movie you
and
don't
there's
like.
genuine good filmmaking in those 3 Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the third one has problems, but overall, it works as a trilogy.
Nando, I've seen you be called a shill
Yeah.
both ways, DC and MCU.
Oh, I mean, they both pay me all the money. I would love to be a shill. If anybody at Marvel or at DC wants to, throw some cash my way.
I
I'll
was able
take
to
it.
find the perfect way to
'Cause-
say that Batman v Superman is one of the worst movies ever made. Take Batman and Superman out of the movie. Can you still make it function as a film in and of itself? Just like as like political candidates versus each other? Can you make it like Kramer versus Kramer? Can you make it like that?
Oh.
Does it work in that regard?
And then Doomsday shows up at the end.
If you remove all DC elements and just make it just like a regular movie, can the movie still work? No.
No.
There you go. The only reason people
No,
love it is because
it
it's like,
doesn't work.
it's Batman. It's Superman. It's shilling for the characters you love. It is not a love of the film itself. It's a love of, I like Batman. That's it. It is just that. Whereas if you take Logan, take Wolverine out of the movie, put in just like a guy trying to protect his daughter, movie still works.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, movie still works.
Yeah.
X-Men, like gay rights, like like X-Men 2, gay rights activists, being hunted down by the government, still works as a movie.
And then they go to a conversion camp at the end.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's there you
Yeah.
go. The movie still works.
Interesting.
That's the best way of analyzing that BVS as a movie can't exist without those DC characters. It doesn't function.
Reporters go
It
to...
should function as a movie first and as a DC film second. But instead they went DC first. And that's why it's just like all this fan service is shoved in. That's why
Yeah.
clips of Aquaman, clips of The Flash, Doomsday shows up. We have Lex Luthor in the alien ship. It's like all this crap.
Right.
None of it matters.
Right. I'm going to jump into the ending now.
That's true.
We've been doing this for like, what, 3 hours?
4 almost.
Oh, fuck.
Something like that.
If
We've
you-
been doing some long
You're gonna have to
episodes,
release
dude.
the Snyder cut of this.
here's what I'm going to call this. This is quarantine length episodes because
Gosh,
we have
yeah,
nothing
that's
else to
fair.
do.
what are we doing? All 3 of us. What are we doing after this?
I'm going home playing Doom Eternal again.
Right.
There's nothing to do.
These are quarantine length episodes. However, if you're really starved for content on our Patreon, all the rants we go on will be there.
Yeah.
Besides the one on the breaks.
We got to start putting stuff on Patreon again because
Yep.
we got to start making money somehow.
Getting rid of that
Yep.
one.
This will go there. Also, the long cut of Rambo Last Blood will be up
Final
there.
Blood. Final Blood.
Final Blood is the new name.
Yeah. How long is that episode? We were going for like 3 hours?
2.5.
Yeah.
It's 2:10 by the time I take all the unimportant stuff out. But
Yeah. That's kind of normal length for
yeah,
what we usually do.
that's about us. If you would like to check out Nando V Movies, he's
Yeah.
Nando V Movies everywhere.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
And that's what we call good branding.
You-
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's like and now I'm everywhere that all the other people are. There is no Daily Show anymore. He's on YouTube just like me. I'm on the same level as all the real entertainment
Right.
now. I just need to be bought out by Disney Plus. Bob Iger or whoever the new guy is, Robert something, you email nandovmovies@gmail.com.
Did
We
I hear
talk.
a rumor that like Apple was going to try
Yeah.
to buy Disney?
I hope.
I heard that.
Dude, Jesus Christ.
I
man.
hope-
Like, how?
I hope this whole virus thing turns into a one world government and we all get the mark of the beast and Jesus shows up and everyone gets raptured except for the bad people. And that's how this all... That season finale of Earth. There we go. The Bible was
All
right.
right, Mike
I love
Pence.
the meme of like Galactus refuses to eat Earth. That's my favorite.
It'll give him indigestion at this point.
That's funny.
This has been the Film Rescue Show. Damn. Alpha Flight X-Men Origins Wolverine is
Yeah.
what we did. It's a great pitch. I'm
it.
like,
Yeah.
It's a lot of words, but it's something. It's exciting. It'd be hard to fit on a poster.
although
But-
I've seen posters with more
Yeah.
words that
Yeah.
were worse movies. I think that's going to do it for us. Again, you can check out all of our stuff on at Film Rescue Show on Twitter, filmrescueshow@gmail.com. Send in your pitches. You can be on the show. The same spiel every time. I feel like I'm on a broken record at this point. The long ranty version of this is on Patreon, patreon.com/Manchester Media. Nando, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Oh, thank you guys for having me on. This is fun, and thank you for distracting me from the world around
Absolutely.
me. And for forcing you to watch this movie again that I love, and now I like it even more.
Even better.
What could have
Yeah,
been?
even better.
You obviously open invitation. Come back on the show anytime. Doesn't have to be a year in between each stop in.
We'll see where we are in a couple months.
True.
Just in the world.
If we're still
You never know.
alive.
If we make it to 100 episodes, we
Yeah.
need a real celebration.
God.
That's it for us. Thanks for listening. Good night.